Did you hear that next month NCAA football is coming back?
Yes.
That's gonna be crazy.
There's a package deal that I saw. It's like 160, and you get that and Madden plus like extra like
Oh,
VC.
the new Madden
Yes,
with and so okay. I didn't know you could
it's
pre-order Madden
not the
so
greatest
early.
deal. I mean, it's a good deal, but it's not the greatest deal. But you get it's the
Okay.
full package. You get everything.
Oh,
So I'm for sure about to get that.
yeah,
That's happening.
NBA Street coming back. You know what game I want to come back? Do you remember Def Jam Vendetta
Yes,
where
bro.
the rappers fought?
They couldn't do that in the world.
No,
Rappers,
like that's actually one of the more valuable games. The fight for New so there's Def Jam Vendetta, then there's Def Jam Vendetta Fight for New York. That Fight for New York, you that's like $200 like to buy that game.
that's crazy. Do you
Because I
imagine?
think it's one of those things that's just like it's not gonna happen again.
I don't, I just want to know why these things can't happen. Like I
Like
want
maybe it's a
imagine
licensing thing
it has to be licensing.
because rappers like no, I don't want to be put in a
Kendrick
game
would
where
be
I could get
shooting
beat
up
up.
right now. He's fighting
I used
again.
to be Joe Budden in Def Jam Vendetta and
Of
go
course.
crazy. Dude. Anyways, welcome everybody to the Bench Player Podcast, episode 3. And before we really get into it, make sure you guys follow the socials. We're posting clips, multiple clips a day on TikTok and on YouTube for the YouTube shorts. We're on Spotify and we're on the Apple Podcast app. Every iPhone has that little purple podcast app. Go in there, look for the Bench Player Podcast. We in there.
Damn
But
right. If you don't have Apple, don't even worry about listening to us, big dog. You have the problems.
well, no, there is. I can get it on the Google Podcast, but they've been going away for forever.
Well, yeah.
I got my hands in a couple of different podcasts, and even me and my wife having one, and I put those on the Apple Podcast, but then they send us like this mass, or this, on the Google Podcast, they send us this mass message saying, "Hey, this is going away." Sometime late last year, and we're like, "Oh shit!" So we just won't even bother, and it's still there today. And then I got another message saying, "Oh, it'll be in July. It's going away." It's like, okay, well,
I guess.
I mean, sure,
Damn
but
sense.
yeah, I mean, we're coming off of a pretty fun week. Hip hop. We feel like every time we finish a podcast, everything happens.
Everything. The second we stop recording, shit's gonna happen today. Guaranteed.
Absolutely, and it the Apple Top 100 albums came out right after we stopped recording. Drake did some shit. Cole did some shit. Quite a bit going on. Rappers fighting each other, which is nothing new, but it's just funny when it's
It's
certain
always fun.
particular
When it turns
guys.
to physical fights, you realize not everybody's that athletic either. That's one of the more funner parts about watching this.
Just like
Like, bro, I understand why you grab guns.
I don't want to get this is not the order in which we want to do this, but like just imagine because everybody after they get into a tussle, everybody calls a homie, calls somebody.
Speaking
And to
Travis,
make that phone call and be
speaking
like,
Travis, let's ponder on this. Who
no, but
Travis?
just make that phone call and be like, hey, just got into it with Tyga, man. That's a crazy phone call to make.
Who Travis called for, like for help? He said, hey Nav,
Hey,
come
Nav,
come fuck with your boy. I got I'm in the street. What were
we
they
got
fighting
Beebs in
about?
the trap right now.
What were they fighting about?
Over the car, it had to have been one of the Kardashians.
Didn't Tiger
Because,
start fucking when she was like 16, bro?
whoa, I don't, I don't, I'm not in
You fight,
it. I'm not in
he fighting to go to jail? Like, what are you doing, bro?
Because no, isn't it the same? I'm not gonna lie, my Kardashian knowledge isn't anywhere near where it should be.
I
But
just
isn't it the same chick that they were, or is it a different chick?
it's the same. There's one Tyga started fucking Kylie Jenner when she was 9 or some shit. I don't know. And then
Yo,
Travis Scott eventually had a baby with her when she was of age. And I understand how that could cause a scuffle. If you're a pedophile, you probably don't have too many morals in place.
but but the Travis and the chick still together?
I don't fucking know.
I don't think we're the
Baby.
ones that need to report on this.
They have a baby. That's what matters now. You know, you
For the child.
know what? I'm gonna assume they're not together because dudes typically fight over women when neither one of them have them. That's just a fact.
That's such a good point.
Like
That's
that.
actually an awesome point.
Because like, bro, like if you try to fight over like my girl, like why? I'm not gonna. She's mine. What are we doing?
She
I'm not.
chose.
Yeah, bro. You took the L. Handle that. You be all right.
Man,
It's crazy, man.
Kardashians forever have the culture going crazy for some reason.
Just hold it down.
Just like there
And
needs
it's
to
bro,
be.
like all you need in life is plastic surgery. You can fix all that shit up.
I'm ready for the documentary to come out how the Kardashians have a stranglehold over sports and music
Women.
and they are involved and they do nothing of the sort. Like none of them are in music, none of
No,
them are in sports.
they're just present, and people love them.
And they choose the most crazy dudes.
Oh yeah, no,
Like
like
Kanye, Tristan Thompson's going
are we
crazy.
ready to have the discussion that are they making them crazy?
Hey, I mean,
Kanye's always been crazy, but he leveled up to crazy after the
no,
Kardashian.
no, he wanted to Kanye wanted to switch races after being with the Kardashian.
This white shit ain't too bad.
Like, you know what? They have all the money in the world. I'm gonna go over here. No, that shit's crazy. Um, so I didn't even want to get into Travis Scott now, but here we are, and
We
we're here.
watched the video. I've never seen. Like I said, it's just sometimes you understand why people pick up guns. It's like, bro, like you should not be fighting anybody. Y'all don't know how to scruffle.
They just swinging from the hip, man.
This whole fight weigh about a buck, 240 maybe tops. What are y'all doing, bro?
This is some flyweights fighting,
They
man.
fight like a motherfucker. Don't let a gust of wind come through here. In this whole shit.
And it just seems like in those fights, they want to throw anything but punches. Like
That's
everyone's
what I'm
trying to throw a
saying.
chair.
I throw a chair. He right in front of you, like, let me go grab a napkin.
He's like right in front of him, and he's like, "Let me go." I get that. Like,
Shit is over for you. It's
like don't want to throw anything but punches.
not everybody knows how to fight, and that's okay.
There's a
I
lot
understand.
of grasping, a lot of running.
Just some people don't want to fight, and that's all right. But just what are you going back and forth about?
Some people don't want to fight, but they're in a position where they got no choice. And this is what happens.
You gotta
And
run, bro.
I literally think that because they can't fight, they're in the situation where they're like, I gotta make this the craziest scene possible to make it seem like I'm crazy.
Let me throw some paper.
Just
I
that's crazy.
mean, that's if you don't want to fight or you got somebody that's way bigger than you, you gotta act crazy. I get it. That's in the book. That's how it works.
I feel like between Tyga and Travis Scott, there's so much ego in one room. There's gotta be.
There's only so much space.
There's only so much space.
I get it. And you put a girl in between them, it's over with, bro.
Yeah. No, I haven't. That is something else. But that also, if you don't have any other comments on this fight, because I don't have anything else to say.
There wasn't a whole lot of fighting, but
It was
no,
a whole this kerfuffle.
kerfuffle is a good term for it. Kerfuffle.
Um, I think we'd be doing top fives. I think in the name of Travis Scott, because I don't want to do a Tyga top five, but in the name of Travis Scott,
Got like a Tiger top 2.5.
like, number one, faded. Damn it.
That's what I had. Shit.
Number two, Rack City. Shit.
What's left now? Over with.
Make it nasty. Is that Tyga?
No,
Make it
that's
nasty
Tiger.
at three.
That's like, see, I'm joking. Tiger got some slaps, but like,
No, Tyga in the late to early 2010s was crazy.
you went crazy. But we're here for jokes, not truth. I don't give a
No,
fuck.
I don't think anyone's going to be coming to Tyga's defense like that. Like y'all disrespecting Tyga. It's like, bro, you a
If they do
Tyga
the
fan
defense
right
the same
now?
way Tiger did, I think I'll be fine.
You know what? If y'all fight the same, I'm good. I'm gonna handle mine.
I'm gonna keep talking, big dog.
So let's have some fun. Top five Travis Scott songs. I was excited to do this one. This was another difficult one.
Yeah, no, it was. It was.
This was another difficult one. Also, I want to talk about our top fives, okay? Because
Okay.
people get on the comments and they be talking. Look, music affects people differently, man. And my top five is my top five. People commented, what about this? What about that? It's not in my top five. How about that? Simple answer. People for the Wayne records, people were saying we're trolling. It's like, no, we're not.
What's like what top five did they even have? Like what?
Let me tell you, the top five, no one really put up their top five, but people, that's the thing. And I want to encourage this, right? Don't say that you disagree with the list. Give me your list. That's
Give
what
me
I
a
want.
list. I might agree.
No, that's what I'm saying. When we did the albums that molded our music taste, some of the fives that people gave were super solid fives, and I loved all of them. There were no crazy ones. We're all in the same breath. You could tell some people were a little younger than us, and that's cool. But when it comes to, someone said How to Love in their Wayne top five, which I like How to Love, but that's crazy.
You were born in 2005. I
Like
get it.
that's
I understand.
crazy.
That's
I saw someone was saying Blunt Blowing off of Carter 4.
no.
There's some good rapping on that album, but no, not in top five.
No.
Pussy Money Weed was another one.
Oh yeah, no, I respect that. I respect that.
That's the thing. I respect that. And if you want to put Blunt Blowing, if you want to put Mega Man, if you want to put whatever in your top five,
Any of
I'm
those
not
songs,
gonna
don't
sit
talk to me about Lil Wayne. I'm sorry.
like.
Yeah, it's over with. Don't talk to me about that. That's crazy.
So this
Respect
is
that.
our top five Travis Scott songs, and you can give me your top five, and we can all just be a top five family. All right. Welcome to the Bench Player Pod. Okay. So top five Travis Scott songs. Give me your five.
My five is gonna come in at Antidote.
Oh, okay.
Don't you open up that window? I'm just saying.
All right. My five, I got Mamacita.
Ooh,
That's not, I don't think that even in Travis Scott's whole discography, there's just not a vibe that's better than that record. I don't
not
think.
one. It's
Yeah,
on my
you
list.
you can find better bars, you can find better concepts, but a vibe,
I mean,
Mamacita is where
are you
it's
gonna
at.
find better bars from Travis Scott?
I mean, uh, number four, I got the intro off of Birds and Trap Sing McKnight. I got The Ends
Okay.
with
Okay.
the secret Andre 3K feature. That's
That
that's one of my favorite records.
Mondre's so specific about who he gives. That was impressive.
Yep. What you
So
got
for
it
my
for?
four, I got Butterfly Effect.
Okay.
Just a vibe. I rock with it. That's all it
It's
is.
such a good song.
There's no real explanation to it. Three, Goosebumps. Come on now.
Don't play.
Come on now.
Don't play.
That's
So
all.
my three is Butterfly Effect.
Oh, okay.
There you go.
Not
And
far off.
and my two is Antidote.
Hmm.
See what I'm saying?
Getting somewhere.
We
Okay. I
there.
rock with it.
All right. What's your two?
My two is Mamacita.
Okay. Look, we both are like in this. We got the same group of songs.
It's in the same realm. And then one by default, I got Sicko Mode.
Okay.
I've never heard a song like that before in my life with all the beat switches.
Because that's such a general answer, I feel like they're gonna eat you up. But I'm gonna support you.
I don't give a damn.
My number one is my all-time favorite Travis Scott song. That's "Pray for Love"
Okay.
featuring The Weeknd. That's my favorite Travis Scott song. You want to talk about Travis Scott rapping in bars? That first verse is actually something really awesome, and The Weeknd is The Weeknd on that song.
The weekend's the weekend. This is that simple.
"Pray for Love" is my all-time favorite Travis Scott song. Okay, so we really just had some of the same songs and just kind of just put them in
Different
different
order.
areas. Do you have any honorable mentions that you really considered?
Uh, I mean, Travis Scott has a great discography, to be honest with you. Just I'm gonna leave it like that. Like I like the Marie I'm Drunk with Justin Bieber. Just a
Mm-hmm.
random song, but I love it. It's put together very, very, very well. But I mean, he has a good discography. He's got a lot of good music.
No, absolutely. And I'm gonna tell you what record that's a guilty pleasure for me. And we just we were talking about him. That Beebs in the Track record with
That's just
Nav. I just put an 8 in a liter, got a white girl sniffing. That song's hard as fuck. And I just couldn't put it on my list because like they're gonna kill me.
that is hard, but like in a weird way.
No, like I just I don't know much from Nav to be honest, except for like the big feature records.
Listen to that before. I get it. It's maybe
But
not my favorite, but I understand it.
was it No Bystanders?
No, oh yeah, yeah, yeah. That's
That's
crazy.
another good one. Um,
What's your
I
favorite
like
album?
what's up?
What's your favorite album?
You know,
Come on,
well,
give me your favorite Travis Scott album. I need it. What's up?
so I'll say this. Every single one of his albums, I like in a different way, if that makes sense.
Okay.
So, like with Rodeo, like I for one, I have all Travis Scott albums on vinyl. So like I'm invested, right? And I've given it a serious cover to cover listen. Rodeo, I just feel it was so amazing so early in somebody's discography. You know, like if he were to put out Rodeo today, we'd still be like, holy shit, this dude's amazing. And it came out that early. And there are some songs I don't like on it. There are some skips, and
See, I
I
have
I I'm, I love Rodeo. Here's the thing: my favorite cover to cover listen might not be might not be my favorite album, but Birds and the Trap Sing McKnight cover to cover to me is just so interesting.
that's mine. That's mine.
Like to start off, like it was on my list to start off with the ends, and that's one of my favorite. Like for to just flip on an album and it's just 2 a.m. I go outside. Like that just anthem like surround sound type of Travis Scott layered vocal. And then you have a 3K feature like on the first like you just really talking your shit
You
on that
bugging,
one.
bro. Like, relax.
But I'll say Astro World was something I've never heard before. Astro World production was something else. Just the songs were constructed in such a way where you just got like Juice World just randomly popping up, and then the beat switches, and then it's someone, and you're just like it
It
was. I think we said this before. Astro World was like an experience.
was like a music science project.
That's a great way to put it.
It was, I don't know, it's put together so well and just so abstract.
Yeah, I like they're all close for me. I would say, and basically just given, Birds in the Trap Scene McKnight when it came out, I was just so rappy that it found me in a certain way that was very impactful. But but I can't easily put Birds in the Trap Scene McKnight over Astro World. Like I just can't do it.
I got
I
you.
can't make a decision there. So like they're like tied for one, but he's got some shit. And also, don't sleep on Days Before the Rodeo either.
That's my shit.
That is your shit. Um, so we kind of spoke about it off the pod. Uh, Apple top 100 albums dropped, and the interesting thing, and I'm interested to hear your opinion on this because I listen to I listen to other music
Yeah.
like that's not hip hop R&B, but you are almost solely hip hop R&B.
For the most part, yeah.
For the most, like you're like I don't think I've met someone that's so like, and that's why we do this podcast
Mhm.
because there's not a whole lot of people I trust their hip hop and like R&B opinion
I'm like
more than you
95%.
because like you're like in that shit. Like I don't think you sat down and listened to an Eagles album.
Don't play. I like the Eagles.
I do. I like the Eagles too. So top 100. This is all genres. We kind of want to talk about what we agree with, what we disagree. What's our takeaways? Give me your initial idea.
Well, first and foremost, I thought it was hilarious that last pod we talked about what albums mold us. I said the Miseducation of Lauryn Hill.
And
We said
Apple
that's
agrees.
crazy, and it's the greatest album of all time. So
That's
I
true.
just want to throw that out there. But no, it's a little crazy. Let's be honest. I think it's what was their criteria? Like I'm just trying to understand. I understand. I think somebody spoke to what their criteria was, but even based off that criteria, none of this matches up at all.
Yeah, it's
I don't know how anything beats Thriller. That's my
true.
confusion. I
True.
went back and
Yeah.
listened to Thriller because I was like, maybe I'm stupid.
No.
And I was like, nah, like there's nothing better than this.
That's another vinyl I got that is constantly on repeat. Um, I kind of just I kind of went through the list and I kind of just put little asterisks next to what I do and what I don't agree with. Um, I guess I have a main point. The main takeaway I'll get to at the end. Um, the album. So it seems like they tried to make sure that they had a certain amount of people represented
Yeah,
in this
yeah.
top 100.
Very few had more than one album on it.
Right. And it seemed like they were really trying to put like as many faces, important faces in the, and I don't agree with like the people that were on the list whatsoever, but the albums that they chose, because if they're in the top 100 and this is their only album, you're telling me that's their best album. A lot of people I didn't agree that that is their best album.
Yeah,
Um, I like Equimini by Outkast. Stankonia is better.
I could agree.
That's just what it is. Um, even Jay-Z, The Blueprint. I think Jay-Z needs two albums on there because if you want to say The Blueprint is his best album, there's no disagreement from me. Like I let you have that, and that's fine. We can have that conversation. The Black album not being on there or being close to that album,
Crazy.
crazy.
You can't put
Um,
Blueprint at 13 and Black Album's just non-existent.
exactly. All Eyes on Me, Pac at 62. 62? There's 61 albums better than All Eyes on Me.
And you could just imagine how many hip hop albums are supposedly better than All Eyes on Me.
Right, and I understand that they're trying to, mold it.
Let me give you my conflict.
Okay.
Dr. Dre, The Chronic, is sitting at 19. Have you ever like looked at that? I mean, listen to the album, obviously, but
Yeah.
that full track listing, some smacks on there, right?
Smacks. Yeah.
What you got outside of the smacks? Let's be honest. We're talking about an album as a whole. The Chronic, I've had this conversation before.
A lot of people have The Chronic as their best hip hop album.
That's crazy to me
Not me, but a lot of people do.
because it's great songs on there, great songs on there. But an album is a collective. How is it cohesive? And you can give me maybe 4 or 5 songs on there, and then it gets quiet pretty consistently. So I don't understand. Like I said, I don't. There's some things I don't have a problem with, like Thriller. Obviously, should be in the top 10. Purple Rain should be in the top 10. Abbey Road, I get being in the top 10. Um, huge Lauryn Hill fan. It's not the best album of all time. That's crazy. It's not the best R&B album of all time. That's crazy. What do you feel about Good Kid, Mad City being considered the greatest hip hop album of all time, according to this list?
I don't think people really want to hear my opinion about it because I do think that that's the best hip hop album of all time, in my
I'm not.
opinion.
I'm not. No, which were younger, I guess.
Yeah.
Uh, I'm not far off with that,
That's so
right?
crazy that like we've done all this living and we're younger. That's
Yeah.
crazy.
I feel old as hell.
Uh,
But you have to consider it. To me, if it's not the best rap album of all time, it's got to be in the top 5 best rap albums of all time. Isn't the 7th greatest album of all time? Debatable.
yes, that's where it gets kind of crazy because I don't like these lists. And it's the same conversation I have when we're ranking or we're putting basketball players against each other. Like LeBron versus Jordan, right? It's like they play two different positions,
Correct.
and it's weird. It's always been weird for me, right?
How did
So
you determine Good Kid, Mad City is better than Back to Black?
right,
How?
like I don't how can you really judge that because you can say whatever you want. There's very few people in this world that can just take their biasness out
Mhm.
of conversations and just look at things from a third party perspective and compare like a soulful Amy Winehouse album to a story about Compton from Kendrick Lamar. It's interesting, right? This is my biggest take. Actually, I have one more and then we'll get to my biggest take. How do you feel about nothing? How do you feel about Take Care being Drake's number one album?
I think it makes sense.
You do? I
think we've had this conversation before.
that's
Take care.
my third best Drake album.
Oh wow.
Take
Yep,
Care
that's what's
is.
his name. And then if you read this, it's too late in front, correct?
Yep.
See, take care. I get it. I think it's it's kind of wild to have that as the only album on there. Take Care
Right.
is a great album to me. I understand it being number one. I understand the argument with it, but I get it. But being at 47 is it's just I don't know. And I don't know if that's too high or too low, if I'm being honest with you, because is Take Care one album worse than Exodus by Bob Marley?
Right.
Explain that to me. I don't if I'm looking at Bob Marley Exodus, to me, Take Care should be nowhere near that, to be honest with you.
Right.
But I don't know. How do you make this list?
It's tough. And this might be another conversation for another time, but I've listened to Nothing Was the Same cover to cover many a times, and Take Care cover to cover many a times. It could be personal preference, just what I'm looking for from Drake. Nothing Was the Same, I think, cleans up Take Care, and for it to be there and then Nothing Was the Same, not on there. It is whatever. This is my biggest point. Okay, and I think you're gonna respect this because I'm hating. Okay,
I love hate.
get Frank Ocean the fuck out the top.
Whoa, whoa, whoa,
Get
whoa,
Blonde
whoa,
out of the top.
whoa, whoa, whoa.
What was he like 4? What was he at?
Number five,
No, get him out the top 5.
5 star stunner.
I
So
love Frank Ocean.
let me start. Let me, as much as I love hate, right? I love Blonde.
Me
That's,
too. Me
and
too.
I've heard a lot of people say, oh, it's not better than Channel Orange. I disagree with that personally. I think it's such a well written album.
Blonde is my favorite Frank Ocean album. It's
Should it
not
be
better
top
than
five?
21 by Adele.
Should it be top five? No.
It's
Should
not better than 21
it
by
should be like
Adele.
top three, top two.
It should be 1.
Why is this not the best album on this list? No, I don't. I have no idea why it's in the top. I could understand top 20. I could argue. I could argue that.
Maybe.
I could argue it. I could argue anything.
You could really argue anything.
But top five is crazy. And what is it? It's right in front of the Stevie album, like the one.
Okay, look.
That's crazy.
Check this out. Check this. Okay. So we got it. It's at 5. It's not better than songs in the Key of Life. No. It's not
Okay.
better than Back to Black. It's not better than Nirvana. It's not better than Fleetwood Mac. It's not better than Rumors Fleetwood Mac. It's not better than 21 Adele. There's no way. There's no way.
I'm just checking.
Also, can we talk about something else? I'm sorry. I don't want to take up all the airway, but here. Okay, so let me ask you this. Can you show me your shirt? Can you broadcast the shirt?
The Queen.
Okay.
My favorite combination: the Queen and titties.
Do you think Lemonade is Beyonce's best album?
Mm, I can see the argument for it.
The answer is no.
I 100% see the argument for it. I love them. It's a good album.
Better than I Am Sasha Fierce.
Yes.
You are smoking dick.
I mean, that's crazy. It's not June yet. Relax. We ain't on gay shit yet. Relax.
You are out of your mind.
So Lemonade and Beyonce's on there. That's the self-titled album, Beyonce. Sorry, let me clarify. Those are both on this list. On this list.
Nope.
It's okay. We can talk about it. Like I can talk.
Give
Beyonce
me B-Day. Give me I Am Sasha Fierce over those 2 albums.
Wildin', bro. You wild.
No.
You wild.
That's insane. That's got to be some recency bias, especially the self-title.
Nah. I disagree. It's okay. We can disagree, but I disagree. She has a lot of great albums, so I understand that portion of it. Lemonade's crazy. Beyonce's crazy. I Am Sasha, but I don't know. It's tough, man. Like I said,
let me walk it back. Let me walk it back. Okay. I'm taking Beyonce over Lemonade. I like that. I like Beyonce being on there.
Okay.
But Lemonade, it's not better than I Am Sasha Fierce, and it's not better than B-Day. And we are
not the 10th best album of all time. That was crazy. I'm a huge Beyonce fan, and
No,
let's
we both go crazy for Beyonce. We're Beehive.
let's chill out. Like, come on now. What are we doing?
Yeah, that's
This whole list
something
was like,
else.
all right, fam, what are we doing here? But it's all about engagement, right? And it worked. They got us.
They got us. They got us. Here we are talking about it.
It's oh, man. But some, like I said, I don't listen to everything. So like maybe Pet Sounds from Beach Boys is way better than anything I've ever heard in my life.
You just will never know.
I'm just not 70 years old, so and white. So
Um,
I'll rock with
so
that.
as the resident Kanye fan,
Oof, I
how
knew
do you
that.
feel about My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy being Kanye's best album?
I'm with it. I like it.
I like it too. I think it is
I
his best album.
I think that made perfect sense. It's
Mm.
he said he made the perfect album, and I could agree with him. But let me ask you this: as the non-biased Kanye fan, and I know you kind of already stated that Good Kid, Mad City is your favorite album.
Yep.
My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy. Do you have any problem with if somebody reversed that? If somebody said no, My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy.
No. Here's the thing. I've been on record saying I think Kanye has the best hip hop discography ever.
Mhm.
And that's someone who's not a huge Kanye guy. Like especially his older stuff, I definitely realize he created something there. But if someone said My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy is better than Good Kid, Mad City, I'd say okay. I was gonna say, what are some albums that you would put over Good Kid, Mad? Like you would love the conversation. Like for me, I think Ready to Die by
Yeah,
Biggie. I think
that
that that
was on
could
my
be
list.
over Good Kid, Mad City.
Most, and it's hard because like a lot of times I would say Ready to Die is the better hip hop album.
Yep.
Just high level rapping. But
Yep.
I think if we're talking about full album, you know how I am. I like concept albums. So
And you're
that's
very
on
the sequencing is important to you.
correct. And that's what put Good Kid Mad City above it for me. That's it. But I mean, there's a lot. I mean, Illmatic, I mean, Good Kid Mad City is better than Illmatic. I'm sorry. I'll stand on that.
That's the conversation right now. That's
I
the conversation right now is at least in other hip hop podcasts they're talking about is Illmatic or is Good Kid Mad City better than Illmatic, and they're saying no.
but I want to understand why people think that music's the one thing in life where people don't get better over time. Nostalgia has held us captive, and it's insane.
It's a son of a gun, isn't it?
Like, I'm sorry. Have y'all not heard what Metro's been doing the past
That's
few
what I'm
months?
saying.
Like, are
And
you
I've always appreciated that about you. And obviously you've been super funny about it and you've been trolling about it, but when I try to put on some like old school hip hop shit, you're like, bro, like, do you know what they're making nowadays? Like, you don't need to put this on.
like
Like if
I
I feel
love
like if
Metro.
someone put on some like Tribe Called Quest in front of you, you'd be like, turn that shit off.
Okay, let's chill out. Let's chill out. Let's not get too far.
Or some
But
De La Soul.
I'm a big fan of
You like innovation. Like you like people that just
I like people who keep inventing new things. That's
yeah.
big Kanye West fan, right? It's that comes from that same ballpark. But it's just I hate this logic that no, there's nothing that will ever be better than this. Yes, there will, and there probably already is. Let's be real. Like Jay Z's, I get people have them as their favorite rapper. There's a lot of people out there rapping better than Jay Z nowadays. I'm sorry, Kendrick being one of them. And I think, for lack of better words, Drake does what Jay Z did, but better. Me personally, hey, you can hate me if you want to,
That's a
but
hell of a clip.
it is what it is. Like that's what it is. It's in this. It's not an indictment against Jay Z. Drake had the ability to learn from Jay Z to improve on that, right? It's these are not bad things on people in the past. It's just y'all made the playbook and they just improved on it. They
Yeah,
don't get
that
that good.
I had a I had a conversation with an older gentleman that I talk to pretty frequently, and he's a huge hip hop head. And we talked about, the best decade for music. And, we all have our opinions there. And he was trying to say, the late 80s, early 90s, crazy for hip hop. I'm like, they didn't even know they could rhyme multiple syllables back then. Like, like they didn't know anything about concepts back then.
That's
You know
what
what
I'm
I'm
saying.
saying? It's like, to your point, I think people hold on to the the impact. that someone had at some point. I think that's the big issue with Eminem fans. That's the huge issue with Eminem fans. Is they're just like, oh my God, like Marshall Mathers LP or Slim Shady LP, whatever this shit was called. And they're like, yo, that rapping on there was crazy. Like, yeah, it was. But to your point, Jordan, people get better, but people also get really fucking worse.
Eminem has probably the okay. Let me word this correctly.
Okay, here we go. Hold on.
Out
Hold on to your
of
seats.
all, out of all the greats, Eminem has the most unlistenable discography than anybody.
Yeah, and
I
it's
don't want to hear none of that shit no more. I'm sorry. I can't even remember the last time I listened to an Eminem album. And I was a big Eminem fan growing up. But like,
right.
first and foremost, don't give cancel culture Eminem's albums. Secondly,
He survived that shit.
I'm 30 plus years old. I don't want to hear about your mom problems, bro. Go to therapy. Figure that shit out.
Yeah.
And third, I don't want to hear you rapping so fast that I don't even understand what you're saying and
No
think
one
that's
wants to hear. No one wants to hear that.
I'm cool, bro. Like I'm good. It's the
Yeah,
reason why Twisted didn't survive.
and I've had many arguments with people where it bothers me that people can't just say he was good then, bad now. Why can't we say that? Like why can't we have that like realistic approach? Like, no, he was rapping some shit. He was putting some words together back then. Now, unlistenable. Why can't we say that without people blowing up and going crazy?
It's because people nostalgia.
Well, people get so fanboy about shit. Like they get
Yeah,
so it's like
I like it. I'm not that way.
there's nothing that I'm such a fan of that someone can't like tell me the truth about it and I get pissed off. You know what I'm saying? Like there's nothing that
Relax,
you could
bro.
tell me.
You don't know them. Chill out.
Yeah, like get off. Stop
Okay.
doing tricks on it, man.
Like what are we doing? Relax.
All right. So any other I said all I need to say about the top 100 list. I think Stankonia is better than Quimini. I think All Eyes on Me at 62 is insane. Uh, I think Nothing Was the Same is better than Take Care. Blonde at 5 is ridiculous.
Come on, come
That
on, come on. Why the fuck is Confessions at 95?
that's another thing I saw.
That's crazy.
Mary J. My Life is like in the 80s.
Get the fuck out of here.
What?
Confessions?
No, there's one thing, me and my wife, there's one thing with all the conversations we have with people, there's one thing I understand. People hate R&B. People don't like R&B anymore.
I don't understand. Like, I guess are we saying that Lemonade's the best R&B album on here? I don't know if I would consider Blonde an R&B album.
I'll throw up. And I don't want this to come off like I hate Beyonce because she's literally my favorite.
I wore this
But
shirt not just because, not because for reasoning.
Lemonade being the best R&B album. If you're not, well, then it's probably no. It's saying Blonde is like the best R&B album.
Is that an R&B album?
I mean, it's slow pop.
It's a black dude singing. It's pop.
It's a black dude singing.
That's it. They said he's black. He's singing R&B. It's a slow pop album.
It's like Igor winning the Urban Album of the Year or some shit. It's like,
But
what is urban about a dude in a blonde wig and a pink suit?
Yo, relax. Like, what are we doing here?
Anything else
good.
you want to say about the
No,
list?
I'm good. This list is pretty bad. It's one of those things where the list is pretty bad, but I would not really try to recreate it. Like, I don't know how you make this.
I don't want to like promote segregation in music, but like let's make hip hop lists, let's make R&B lists, let's not try to integrate because nobody's gonna agree on that shit.
They have a Bad Bunny album on here. Who understood it? That's what I want to know.
He could be saying the most elementary sus bars, and we're just like
I've had people translate Bad Bunny albums to me.
He'd be going crazy.
He's nasty as hell. And I'm telling you, and it sounds trash when they try to translate it to English. And Spanish language is a fire language, so I get it. It's gonna sound better coming, in that type of language. But that boy freaky as hell.
Isn't he bisexual?
Probably. I feel like when you get to a certain level of like popularity, you just start fucking anything.
You're just like, you know what? If you down, I'm down. Or even if you're not down. Shout out Diddy. Let's go. Was that cancelable?
Probably.
That's my bad. I respect. Let's go. I mean, it wouldn't be a podcast if we didn't have a Drake segment. So Drake took the BBL Drizzy beat that Metro made as like a troll to Drake, and him and Sexy Red rapped on it.
Can we talk about him popping out for the first time and it's with Sexy Red because there's two bad bitches in the room? That's crazy. I
You
don't.
know,
It's a very disappointing move. As
Drake
a,
is like allergic to hip hop.
I don't. I mean, we'll say that it's just, and it's gonna cater to the other topics that we have to talk about. I feel so slighted because we got 1 to 2 weeks of fantastic rapping, and then I got Sexy Red to follow. What the? What are we doing?
Dude was scratching and itching to get back out with Sexy Red.
Oh my
I
god!
bet you he hated those weeks where he was beefing with Kendrick. He's just like, I want to go out with the girls.
Where is Sexy Red?
Like the dude is just allergic to hip hop, and I think it shows it. Like
The
he can
BBL
he
line, he flipped it to say, "Oh yeah, I give everybody BBLs." Like,
you
yeah,
gotta
right.
know it's not different enough. You gotta know.
Yeah, it's what are we doing, man? It's like I have no problem with you if you flip that line down the line. That should not be the first song that we hear from you.
And that's gonna be an easy transition, right?
It's yeah,
It's I'm not saying Drake, Kendrick, Cole. I'm not saying that y'all got to stay in the beef and keep sending shots or keep referencing the beef, but what you put out after matters.
absolutely.
It
Especially
really matters.
got clapped by a dude who didn't say anything. He just uploaded and said, "Here, it's out."
Yeah, cuz that was and I went on a I mean, when Drake put out For All the Dogs, I went on a rant to you and I said Drake had an opportunity to really put out a great album and kind of solidify everything. And it's crazy that we're talking about that now,
Yeah,
given all that's happened in the past, couple months. But I got so upset because I think I said if Drake would have put out something like a Nothing Was the Same or even a Take Care to that point, it could have been it's over, like game over. It's
yeah,
not even close because Kendrick nowhere to be found, dropping an album that people didn't appreciate in the moment, and then Cole is like close but still so far behind as far as popularity goes and numbers go and stuff like that. So I thought Drake really had an opportunity. And then when we got the album we got, I messaged you and I'm like, what? He's just rapping about getting his heart broken by like 19-year-olds. Like
this
what like and I really had this coming to Hove moment, not Jesus, but Hove. I had this coming to Jesus moment where I was just like, okay, Drake's just not hip hop anymore. And that's cool. Like I like people who aren't hip hop. That's fine.
I don't know. I don't know if I agree with that. I mean, I think he's
I
still
mean,
hip
if you
hop.
put out an album where you just don't rap,
I
what am
think
I say?
he's trying to appeal to the young crowd so much that he's willing to give up his hip hop core fans that grew up with him.
And I
I think,
accept that.
yeah,
I accept that, right? And I understand that. Drake is the last person that needs to pander. Like he's
that
the
and
last person.
that's what I don't get.
Like
You're
it's like
dog, you are 37.
what he's doing is like I don't want to send shots, but like what he did there is like what Lil Baby is doing overseas with Central C.
How
Like I don't
so?
know I don't know if you see those guys together, but like it's you the pandering is what you need to do when you're trying to get to a certain level or at least maintain a certain level.
Kind of level up or something like
Yeah,
that.
and like Drake, there's nothing above you. You can really just do whatever the fuck you want and we're all gonna love it. And I guess I was expecting the Nothing Was the Same, Take Care, If You're Reading This Is Too Late type
But
Drake.
let me ask you this: if I'm trying to be the biggest artist in the world and I put out something like Scary Hours 2 and it does horrible streaming, does that not tell me that hey, this is not the market I want to go towards?
I think especially someone as big as Drake, and this goes for any it goes for anybody on that level. There's obviously there's obviously better revenue streams, right?
Mhm.
But it gets to a point when you're that huge where it's like when we had that conversation about Doja Cat. And I know this is an interesting comparison, but we talked about Doja Cat, how she had a crazy pop album and she could have stayed pop and just blown up, but then she put out a rap album and is still rapping. And it's like she didn't have to do that. You know what I'm saying? Like Drake is Doja Cat times a billion as far as popularity goes. And it's like you have the opportunity to really, if you have a hip hop bone in your body, this is the nail in the coffin. This is the game winning touchdown. And then you put out a singing album about, young 19, 20-year olds about how they break your heart and how they're not mature enough. They're 19, so they're not going to
Oh,
be very
shit.
mature.
That didn't make sense.
And
Uh,
um and
I
like
don't
that's the
know.
thing. And I'm just like, okay, that's if he had the opportunity to be hip hop or to go down this lane that you're talking about as far as, you know, appealing to that audience, that's not hip hop anymore. Because that's not hip hop. Like what he's doing, that's not hip hop. There's never been a hip hop that's like, let me sing
But
on these records.
I don't know if that's his goal anymore. And I think that's what it comes down to. I don't think he cares about that anymore. I don't think that's what his objective is. He talks numbers all day. I think he's supposed to be the biggest artist on the planet. And he
Right.
succeeds.
Like he's on those Michael Jackson numbers. Like he's
Correct. That's what he wants. I want to be the biggest artist ever.
yeah, and it also is super selfish of me to be like, I want you to do this. Like I recognize that,
It's
but
crazy to say that. And then his highest album is 47 on the top 100 list, which I'll be honest with you, felt appropriate-ish.
well, I'll say this. Drake is super popular and I mean, I watch all these videos on social media of talking to like they talk to like college basketball teams. Who you got, Drake or who's your favorite artist? Who you like better, Drake or Kendrick? And they all say Drake. Like he's got the young demographic to a T.
Well,
But
I mean, I think there's some reasoning behind that, right? It's he caters to them. He releases a lot of music. Whether where it comes from is irrelevant, but he releases a lot of music and caters to the young people like Yachty, the Cash Cobain writing songs for him. He stays in the young crowd on purpose. So I get it. He gets with the young guys. He's always done it. It's been his thing.
yeah, and he's talking to the streamers, the Twitch streamers, the Kick streamers, Kai Sanat and Aiden Ross. Like it's like he has no adult friends.
That's the weird part about it. It's like, where's your? You should have some friends above 30.
And Kendrick told him about his friends.
Yep.
So I want
That's
your
why
opinion.
Kendrick's needed in this moment right now.
The
Uh,
Kendrick's
I'm,
like the adult that's like,
I know there's like rumors out that like Kendrick has an album coming, but like, all right, bro, speed that shit up because I just had to hear J. Cole rap about coochie or grip
well,
up.
before we move on to that, more so everyone knows about the Drake and the Ghostwriters, right? Um, and Drake has defended himself and has said, I've had I've been in the room with a bunch of writers and we wrote like the singing songs, like
Yeah,
just hold on, we're going home, stuff like that. A reference track just leaked for Mob Ties,
I'm
which off of Scorpion, that ain't a singy record. That's a rapping record.
not sure if you heard Drake when he did an interview with LeBron. He sit down in the room together. That shit. It's a
I think that's
clip.
what I'm thinking about.
It's a clip, which is crazy, and they're just talking. He's like, nah, but after this push beef, I got in my own bag. I invested in myself. He's like God's plan. I did this, and LeBron's like about mob ties. That's my shit. He's like, and to hear a reference track after doing that is crazy.
Yeah, this definitely it's been a tough year for Drake.
Man.
It's been
And
a
I'll be
tough
honest with
year.
you. I know we say in the grand scheme of things, it will not affect him, but temporarily, I feel like it actually is.
Well, the kids don't care. Like his core audience doesn't care. I feel like if you're gonna say Drake is one of your favorite rappers, you got to be either young or borderline,
Yeah,
and
but
they don't care.
I know they don't care. What I'm saying is that the effect of Kendrick has affected him more than I would have thought, which is still not a lot. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying his career is over. That's not what I'm saying.
Right.
I just think that with this song release, people are like, "Why the fuck you next to Sexy Red again?" And I did not expect that at all.
To what you're saying, I think what Kendrick has done is those guys who were on the fence on like, do I really fuck with Drake or do I don't? I think Kendrick helped kind of
Yeah, no,
kick him over the line.
you don't.
Yeah, it's like, I like Drake more than the next guy, but um, I've always said, I've said this for the longest time. It's like I want my singers to sing and I want my rappers to rap. And if you could do both, that's fine. But I always want rapping Drake over singing Drake. And just I don't relate to the music that he has put out recently. I relate to the I don't know if I literally relate because I'm not rich like Drake, but the like nothing was the same. If you're reading this is too late, just kind of sounded like Drake was something to prove, and he doesn't need to prove anything anymore because he's anything he puts out is going to blow up and it's going to be huge.
It's the
But
richest, most successful. Like I get it, but
what's your opinion on like the Mob Ties reference track? Do you think it's real? Do you think
I think we don't know. Right. Like I think Vori actually has writing credits on the song, so there's
Mhm.
got to be some realness to it. But I also think that how easy is it to go backtrack and go make an AI song and then put it in this person's voice, and now you have a reference track. I don't know.
I don't know
But
how many AI machines are loaded up with the Vori voice pack.
all right, let's not disrespect Vori. Like, let's relax,
No, I'm just saying.
relax. But it's I don't know. It's disappointing to hear from a song like that. We talk about all these melodic little tunes that he's put out, whatever. Mob Ties was,
Tunes.
we'll call it tunes, but Mob Ties was like,
That was rapping. I
that was,
like
this
that
was,
record a lot.
but this wasn't just rapping. This was, I'm fresh out of a beef. I'm still him. Like, I can do, and then when you hear that, it's like, oh, okay, what are you writing? And I understand that Drake is a writer. Like, he's writes for other people as well, but I feel like as time goes on, it continues to question what the fuck are you actually writing?
There has never been a rapper with these type of writing allegations.
Yes, not to this degree. Like there's
There
like
just hasn't been one.
only exception is Kanye, right? But Kanye openly says like I'm not writing my shit. Like
Yeah.
I'm more on the production side. I'm more coordinating the record. So we know what it is. Nobody is sitting here saying that Kanye's the greatest rapper of all time. That's
No.
never a conversation. Uh, Drake is in that field where people try to talk about that, and it's just like in that ballpark, none of these guys have anything like this.
Yeah, it's super interesting because like there's just it just hasn't existed, and rightfully so. We haven't been in such a social media era where it could exist like this, but uh, there's just never been any type of allegations, and it's so much, and we thought it was over with the Meek Mill shit, but it's
Well,
back, it's
it keeps
back,
going. I've
and
heard
it's
the Lil Yachty reference tracks. Like I don't know, man. Like if Kendrick had a reference trap drop for like "Sing About Me," I might cry.
oh that would turn the game upside down.
In all actuality, there'd be some tears falling.
No,
But it's I don't know, man. I don't haven't heard about this from anybody
I
except
just like me and you have made music in the past, right? On such a small scale. I can't imagine. Maybe you just are trying to do what makes you the most money, and that's all you care about is the money. And that's fine. I support that. Get a fucking bag, right? But I can't imagine, as far as if you have trouble coming up with those tunes that you're talking about, those, pop R&B singy tunes, that's fine. But to sit there and rap someone else's bars,
weird,
who would like
weird.
that's almost why I don't believe any of it. Cause like I for some reason believe that Drake is there's a part of him that's of the hip hop go at your throat culture. And I think we've at least seen glimpses of that. And to say that like someone rapped a whole song for you and you recorded over it or recorded using their bars and put it on an album, like that doesn't even sound realistic to me.
It,
Especially Mob Ties wasn't a hit. It wasn't like a number one. It was just it was an album cut.
yeah,
And
but
that doesn't it just doesn't make sense to me, man. Like I just can't imagine unless he's trying to get so best case scenario, like this is I'm really Drake caping right now. Maybe he's just trying to get as many people paid as possible. And he's like, yeah, if you write me some shit, I'll put it on my album so you can get paid. Maybe,
but I think
maybe.
Drake releases at a very uncommon really like release schedule. You're just not you're not supposed to be putting out this much music.
Right.
And maybe that's how he does it. I'll take a song from you, I'll take a song from you, I'll take a song from you, and then and don't be wrong, I've heard these reference tracks. Drake made something that was way better than what we heard. Uh, but when you have kind of a structure to follow and you just got to critique it how you want, it becomes a lot easier to put an album together.
But it also, you're right, but it also knocks you down some pegs in the hierarchy of hip hop. Because
Absolutely. And
that's
I
like
think that's kind of at the point we're at.
that's the
Is
knowest of
maybe
knows right there.
maybe you can't be up here. And that's where I don't have my conversation with the Jay-Z Drake comparison. That's where if we talk about rapping, that changes. It's you can't be in that ballpark with him.
Yeah, especially after this, I think it's going to get to a point where you can't put Drake anywhere in a hip hop list because anyone will say he don't write his shit.
He's a great hip hop artist. Same list I put Kanye on. I don't think he's there yet. He's not on the Kanye level, but you're halfway there.
Oh yeah, I mean if anyone's close, it's him, right?
Yeah.
Um, let's stay in the Kendrick Drake realm. J. Cole, Jermaine Cole put out a record with Cash Cobain
Oh no.
called Grippy. Now, I want to get your opinion on this because I know this is your shit. Tell me how much you like the record.
I've never been so disappointed from an artist before in my life.
And this goes back to what I was saying about the BBL Drizzy Drake shit, where I'm not saying you got to stay in killer hip hop mode,
What the fuck are you doing?
but you can't, this can't be the release after all the kerfuffling happened.
You know, I listened to this morning. I listened to that Might Delete Later, that tape that Cole put out right before all hell broke loose
Yeah,
for
yeah.
him. And to hear that type of rapping and then you give me this, it's like, all right, bro, like, do you want to rap or not? Like, let's talk about it.
Like I said, if this, because Cole will throughout the year, he'll kill features, he'll do great features. If this snuck in as a random release on somebody's record, this is fine, I think. But
About
in
that.
the midst of everything, this is not fine. And let me tell you something. Grippy isn't the worst part about this song. She thick in the hips. She a hippie is the worst bar I think I've ever heard in my life.
Like, I've never like prayed to God that somebody else wrote this verse. Like, you didn't come up with this, right? Like,
Drake sent his writers to J. Cole.
your kid wrote this, right? Like,
She's
please.
thick in the hips. She a hippie?
I don't know, man.
That
And
is the worst bar I think I've heard.
it hurt, man. It's hurt. Because Cole was starting to move up on that ladder that we talk about, just
Yep.
great rap. He
Yep.
was moving up the past year and a half, 2 years, quick. I'm like, he's bought, and I'm sorry, he has been out rapping everybody lately.
Correct.
I think we had this conversation, and we said the Kendrick J. Cole comparison. I was just like, okay, no, I might give the edge to J. Cole because he puts out music more frequently.
Yeah.
Now, after this whole diss thing, that has changed.
Yeah.
But
Opinions change.
yeah, no, Kendrick started putting music out. I said, oh, never mind.
You kind of
But
forget a little bit.
yeah, no, but it's to hear something like this in the midst of all this, it's like, all right, bro, like, are you taking this seriously? I don't understand.
Yo, there's nobody, not a soul in J. Cole's camp was like, Ayo, fam, maybe we release this in a couple months.
It seems
Maybe
like
we release this later. And he was like, no. Right now, I need to put out Grippy.
Or maybe never put it out. That's okay too. There's nothing wrong with that.
Like I said, I think this record is so bad because of everything that has happened recently. If this released middle of last year in the summertime, I don't think people would care as much.
Because I would just delete out my phone and move on. But
Yeah, but this is a good. She thick in the hip. She a hippie?
now tell me, let me tell you this. How much would music change if Kendrick just said album Friday? That's all he tweeted.
Oh, it's that album, because so many people will tune in to get more Drake, info. Like they'd want to
Yeah.
hear more Drake. That's a We might see a. So what did Mr. Morale do first week? Like
Three
three
something.
fifty, three
Three
fifty.
something. That sounds about right. 350,
Yeah,
360.
Mr. Morale, Big Steppers, first week. I think it was like 350.
It's in the
Mr.
three
Morale,
ballpark.
first week sales. Oh, it did 295.
Oh, three, three.
Oh yeah, so it did three.
295, three. Okay.
This album, if he releases it soon, when this is still fresh, it doubles that. I think it's a
Oh,
six
yeah.
hundred. I think it's a 600,000, and that's like over a million nowadays.
Yeah, absolutely. But that's at this point, I need it. And I hope he still obviously you can just create what the fuck you want whenever you want. Um,
Really, right? Like you could put out your best shit just on a whim.
he's like, I'm just choosing not to. That's what this whole beef felt like. It's like, oh no, I can do this at a high pace if I want. I'm chilling.
No, that's definitely a great point. And I think much like Future did with all this Drake Kendrick stuff, I don't think Future really had the intentions of like, hey, we're just gonna keep going at Drake. I think he threw that the Kendrick record and he was like, hey, this really boosted our shit. We got a number one out of it. So let's just keep putting out music and people are gonna tune in because they're like, hey, is there more? Like, is
That
there
was it. No, that was the game plan before. He did the same thing with what was it, Future and Future Hendrix.
Yeah, but I think there was definitely I know it was the plan, but I think that there was motivation to really get this shit out. I think it's honestly perfect timing. And if he really planned for this Drake and Kendrick shit to blow up like this, he's a musical genius.
I
And
don't
we
think
need,
anybody could have planned for this. This shit went crazy.
because I tell you what, I'm not saying I don't run to all the future albums because I do, but at 12:01, was I at my phone refreshing, trying to listen to the album? Yes, I was,
I
because I
always ran,
wanted
but I picked up the pace a little bit this time. Like,
I wanted to
and
hear that. Like when the second Future project dropped, I was refreshing the fuck out of my phone because I
everybody
was
realized it
like,
was an R&B album.
and then you got like a ASAP Rocky diss verse, and I'm like, no, I'm good.
Weekend through shots. Everybody, Future literally just said like one small thing and then moved on. That was it, and just let everybody else do the dirty work.
Yeah, that's true. And a guy that has been commenting on all the craziness in hip hop, it has been 50 Cent.
Mm-hmm.
And him and Rick Ross are at it again. Seems like they beef on and off for years now. But it seems like 50 Cent really is calling out all the alleged sexual predators in hip hop. He commented on the Diddy situation. We all know that. And then 50 Cent, and we've all kind of been wondering this, but no one said it. 50 Cent calls out Rick Ross's lyrics on You Ain't Even Know It, where Rick Ross says, I put that Molly in her drink, she ain't even know it, which we always like, that's crazy.
This was like before cancel culture. This was like 2012, and we were still
Yeah.
like, "Bro, you wilding?" Like
Wasn't that
he was still on the song.
like, that was a Rocco record, wasn't it? You ain't even
Yeah,
know it?
yeah.
Shit. And Rick Ross replied, and I have not fact checked this, but Rick Ross
Me.
replied and said, that was just a bar. You actually did do some shit, and talked about 50 Cent in his past allegations. I'll leave it at that. When are we just gonna do a versus?
A versus?
When are we just gonna do a versus of Rick Ross and 50?
I got 50 Cent. You know what?
Do
That
you
actually would be interesting.
do you think it's that easy?
No, I thought about it as soon as I said that because Rick Ross has so much more music.
This is
Like
true.
not even fair.
Um, Rick Ross, I loved his role in the Drake and Kendrick beef. Just the dude in the background that's instigating shit. 50 Cent also being an instigator with the Diddy shit. Um, 50 Cent kind of being this like odd voice of reason,
Which is crazy.
which is insane.
But
He's
it's
just kind
one
of been
version
the
of it.
guy that's just like, hey, you can't be drugging women because how are you going to build a foundational connection with them? Like he's been hilarious, and I think he's that open because I mean, he's not putting out music. He's got no music coming out. He's making money with like his liquor company,
And his shows.
and he's just out here poking fun, and no one really wants to send bars his way
I'm about
unless
to
it's
say
Diddy's son.
there's a reason why he gets away with it.
Nobody wants to take it there.
No, leave that man alone. There's a reason why. He will be petty for the rest of his life, rest of your life.
50 Cent's the petty champion, right?
100%.
He's the petty goat.
Without question.
Ever since he bought the whole front row of Ja Rule's concert, he's been the petty goat.
100%. There's
The
nobody petty than that.
the Floyd Mayweather Harry Potter book
That
ice
shit was
bucket challenge.
hilarious.
750,000 to a charity if you could read one page out of a Harry Potter book. That's crazy. Yeah, I mean that's really all I had with there. You want to get to our last hip hop top five?
Let's do it.
Okay. So what we got here, another one to ruffle the feathers, because I don't see how even people could get upset at this because we're just saying albums that are underrated.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know, but
You
they'll
got
find a
more
way.
praise.
They'll find a way. But like I said on the first top five, you guys tell me the albums that you think are underrated, and we'll take it from there. So this is the top five
This will be
most
interesting.
underrated albums in our opinion.
I'm curious if
So
we have any of the same ones.
okay, I always let you go five. I'm gonna start my five, and then we'll
Oh,
go
let's get it.
backwards because we never done
Let's
that
do it.
before. My five, I got Vince Staples album.
Okay.
It came out in like 2021. Um, Cover to cover, not a skip on it. Um, Vince Staples has kind of been doing some shit. He's been doing
Yeah.
some shit. But I think cover to cover, an outstanding listen. And the reason why it's underrated to me, I don't hear anybody talking about it. I don't hear anybody saying how good it was, even how it was received. I mean, no one really said much about it. Just like, oh, it's good. And then that was kind of it. I think it could be the best album in his discography, and it kind of no one really cares about it. So let's go. Um, Give me your five.
I got five. So I got Redemption, J Rock.
Ooh, I like it,
Album
J
was
Rock.
stupid. So good. And it seems like it came and went. But that album from cover to cover, incredible. I think it's just kind of weird that he's on TDE and it still kind of didn't get that same praise that Kendrick or Schoolboy Q would get. I actually got a couple TDE artists in here.
I think we both might.
But it's a little disappointing. A little disappointing. That's all. And for my second TDE artist,
Mhm.
I got Sylvia Demo, Isaiah Rashad.
Okay.
Just I and don't be wrong, I feel like every album that he has could be on this list. Let's be clear. But when I hear that, the first time I heard that was the Shot Me Down song, and I was just like, what the fuck is this? This reminds me
Yeah.
of like Lil Boosie, Webby, more lyrical version of just a down south artist. And I've loved it ever since. And he does not miss on these releases either.
That's so crazy because my four is Isaiah Rashad, The House is Burning.
Like I said, any of his albums could be on this list.
Dude, and I kind of referenced it either, I think it was last pod or the pod before, how I don't understand how Isaiah Rashad isn't just massive. Pause. Because hey, I'm on
Hey,
it. I'm on it. Um, just cover to cover, the biggest just vibe. Like you want to talk about if you got to go on a road trip or you just cruising through the city, Isaiah Rashad just he can make a bop that no one can you can't get anybody off the street that can recollect it to you. Like they can't just be like, "Oh, my favorite that Isaiah Rashad album was crazy." Like people either they don't know, they don't care. I don't understand it. But yeah, I got the houses burning at 4. At 3, I got Earl Sweatshirt. I don't like shit. I don't go outside.
Okay, I like that.
I'll say this, and I mean we don't talk about it a whole lot, but like I do make music, or at least I try to with a newborn. But um, Earl Sweatshirt, I don't like shit. I don't go outside. Matched my personality so well that I was like, he's the first guy that put out an album that made me go, I want to make music like this.
Okay, I
No
got
one's
you.
ever done that for me before. I've always just done what I wanted to do. People put out music is cool. I'm gonna do me. I'm gonna do what I want to do. Earl Sweatshirt put out music, and I'm like, this low key, like super dark but intriguing hip hop. It was almost like how the weekend was like back
Yeah.
in the day,
Okay.
like dark R&B, but Earl was like dark hip hop, not like horrorcore dumb shit dark, but was just like introspective dark. And no, I was that's my 3. Earl Sweatshirt. I don't like shit. I don't go outside. What you got?
All right. 3, I got Big Crit. King Remembered in Time.
I knew you was gonna throw a big crit on here. I love it.
Come on now. I got that on vinyl.
Yep.
Crazy, crazy fine. Crazy fine. No, Big Crit just underrated. One of the most underrated artists, really, to be honest with you. I think his hype's kind of slowed down, but you go back to even the Control time period. His Control verse was insane. He responded with the Mount Olympus. It's I don't know, man. That's one of those albums I listen to from top to bottom. I'm like, how the fuck do people not love this? Like to a
Yep.
core, just introspective music, stuff that's gonna bump in the car, stuff. It's a mirage of everything, and nobody seems to care at all.
No, I definitely second that, and I respect that. Um,
Oh,
you
2,
go next. Yeah.
I got a la ASAP Rocky.
There you go.
Um, well, ASAP clearly doesn't like making music anymore, or not making good music anymore. But that album was incredible from the standpoint of how big of an artist he is and how nobody seemed to care about it after a couple years. He had a couple songs on there that got popular, but he had videos and the format of the perspective of being on LSD that just I thought was just super creative and different ways of doing things. It's a great album.
Not respected. Uh,
We got a 2.
my 2, and this is kind of interesting. This album, I think people like this album, and I think that it is rated good, but I think it needs to be so much higher than it is, and that's Oxymoron Schoolboy Q.
Mm,
This probably is in my top 5, 7 albums of all that I've ever heard. You want to talk about something that me and you are both interested in is like creating a sound. Schoolboy Q, holy shit. Like
yeah,
almost every song, you got vibe songs where it's just like a song like Studio. That's just such like a low key, like
five,
a vibe, right?
five.
Then you got songs like Break the Bank. That's like, I'm gonna kill somebody. And it's he really, and you want to talk about, I don't know who was mixing his shit, but his layered vocals are the cleanest that I think I've ever heard on this project. It's just it's an album I hold in high regard. I think people do too, but I think people are like, that's a good album. I'm like, that's a amazing album, and that's why it makes my list. If that makes
Yeah.
sense.
Okay. Was 1.
Well, number 1,
Oh.
I got Saint John While the World is Burning.
Ooh.
Why Saint John isn't putting out music and isn't the just he got money. I don't know if you follow him on socials. He got money. But like St. John, I he's like a Future that could actually sing.
Yeah, I can see that.
Like that can actually like Future, he's
Such a
cool.
creative artist.
But while the world was burning, I have a lot of 2021 albums on here. But while the world was burning, the Smack DVD record, the Lil Uzi record, the
Mhm.
Black record, the On the Ledge record, the Freedom is Priceless record, like cover to cover. It's not a long album, cover to cover, just innovative, amazing music. And St. John's #1 on this list because I don't know why him as a whole, and he hasn't put out a lot of music, so you can understand why he isn't huge. But I feel like if he just gave it a grind, and I know that he writes music for other people and he does shit like that, but holy shit, why this guy isn't at the top of whatever list you put him on, it just blows my mind. But you
I
got to put
think
out music to do that, unfortunately.
that to your point, if he grinds, I feel like he'd be one of the biggest artists.
Ever.
Period.
Yep. Huge. All right,
My
#1.
number
Let's do
one.
this.
So this is like we said. I think you said for Oxymoron was one of your top 5, 7 favorite albums. This is in my top 5 favorite albums I've ever heard.
Yep.
And I'm gonna say why I'm alive, just because obviously I had the chance to experience it. Control System by Ab-Soul was the
Okay.
most innovative rapping album I've ever heard in my life. I think I said earlier that Astro was more like a science project.
Yeah.
This felt like an actual scientist going in and rapping. Astro World's a good school project. This
But this
felt
is
like,
like if the teacher was rapping.
yeah, if the teacher said, all right, I'm a rap now, this is what this felt like. I've
I
never
love
heard
it.
anything like this before. Just bars that you didn't even think would be a thing put together, interesting perspective. Clearly, this guy was high out of his mind while he put this together, but sometimes you got to thank God for drugs. And this is one of the albums that makes me want to say that. Just innovative, man. I love innovative albums. I love concept albums, like we talked about earlier. This was everything that I could ever ask from a hip hop album sonically.
God, we really showed love to some TDE
I mean,
on that.
they run a tight ship over there.
They really do. Um, I mean, those are some I love the list. I love the ASAP Rocky. Big Crit, I love it. That's gonna
Honorable
be
mentions. Honorable mentions.
see like honorable mentions. I don't want to put like, are there smaller artists that I think deserve more recognition, like a Millie's or someone like that? Sure, right? But what kept coming to my mind is albums that are so low on, like Birds in the Trap, Sing McKnight. I feel like that can be an underrated album
Okay.
because some people have it as 3 in his discography. And I'm like, no, it's not 3 in his discography. Albums like that people are like, oh, it's cool, but just really didn't have that. You have this relationship with this album that other people don't. It's interesting.
Yeah.
But if you don't have anything else, we get to new music, then we can get to some basketball.
This is some
Um,
basketball, man.
I mean, but we got Vince Staples' new album came out. I don't know if
Good.
so. Here's the thing: this album was I have such a I listened to it today. I listened to it twice. I listened to it just by myself. I listened to it when I was in the gym, right? It is it's almost like a masterpiece for I mean, obviously art is up for interpretation and you take away with it what you take from it. This album is like a person that has so much that just wants things to be simple.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what I took from that album.
Good
Like
way
the
to put it.
whole like the whole album, he has all these opportunities, but like there's like a part in the song where he's like, I can get a woman to come and have sex with me, but it'd be harder for me to call someone to like give me some actual like affection.
Yeah.
And it's like he's talking from the perspective of I don't necessarily want to go back in time, but I want things to just be simpler than they are right now in a world filled with so much access.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
I'm listening to it and I'm just blown away. Like there are some songs that aren't like bops because they're more storytelling. So it's not
correct.
songs you're gonna replay a bunch of times. But the like the intro record, Blue and Black, amazing record.
Mhm.
Um the like the third record down, it's just the Etouffee record, holy shit.
It's
That's
big.
the
It's
that's
crazy.
the song for me.
What a spin on that type of bounce.
Dude, Etouffee at 6. Unbelievable. But
Yeah,
like
that
so I
was my
got
shit.
so the first record is like a skit, so not a real record. But Black and Blue, amazing first act, like your first intro record. Government Cheese, cool. Again, like another like concept song.
Yeah.
Children's song, amazing. Shame on the Devil, amazing. Etouffee, amazing. Liars is a skit, right? Justin, concept song. Radio, kind of what I was explaining to you about, like going back in time or wishing things were
Yeah.
more
I
simple.
I love that radio song though.
Oh my God, just like, I love gangster rap, but someone hurt me so bad that like I turn on like Etta James, or I
Yeah.
turn on, like a different a type of music I don't even listen to. But the whole album is just Vince Staples. I say it about a bunch of people and I'll keep saying it. Vince Staples needs to be in a conversation. He needs to be in a conversation somewhere. From a guy that seems like he don't even like to rap, he's amazing at it.
Yeah.
It seems like he wants to do movies and TV shows and stuff. He seems like he doesn't like I think this is his last Def Jam album, I think.
Oh, so he
Like,
might chill after this for a little bit.
yeah, this is his last official obligation to his contract. So I think he's independent, or at least, he'll be doing on a different, music publication after this. But man, he doesn't miss for me. I mean, maybe it's just what I want to listen to,
Yeah.
but Vince
No, it was
Staples hasn't missed for me.
so long. It's been a while since I've listened to a full Vince Staples album. I'll be honest with you. Well worth it. Well worth it.
This is going to be whatever top albums we talk about this year. This is going to be
It'll
this
be
is
up
going to be
there.
up there.
This year has
Absolutely.
been is shaping up to be a great year.
That's what I was going to say. I made a little note of it. This year has kind of been insane. No.
It's one of the more exciting hip hop years. It's almost June. We're almost at halfway, and I couldn't even tell you my favorite album of the year so far, just because there's been so much good
So
music.
much. And I think shout out
There's a lot.
Haley. I think my wife says that the even years are crazy.
She ain't
And
lied. She ain't lied at once.
like the last year was kind of mid. This year's insane.
You get a
Uh,
Kendrick album, I'm gonna pass out. I just want to be clear.
what'd you say?
If you get a Kendrick album, I'm gonna pass out.
Oh yeah, you just
That's for
like
sure.
I'm a die and I'm gonna come back and I'm gonna die again. Um, no, that's crazy. All right, we'll transition to basketball. A lot of hip hop to talk about. We'll transition to basketball. So it looks like the finals are set basically.
I mean, you don't know. Minnesota can come back from 0-3. Remember
Uh,
my prediction was that Minnesota would go all the way. Boy, was I wrong. They're getting clapped.
they're up
And
by 9 right now, but
The Pacers, I gave the first game to, and I thought they would get swept after that. And if you watch the game, they won that game and then decided, nope, I don't want it.
so it's funny you say that. I have actual statistics. In game 1, with 10 seconds left in the fourth quarter, the Pacers had a 97% chance of winning,
Mm-hmm.
and they lost. Game 3, with 2 minutes and 38 seconds left in the fourth quarter, the Pacers had a 94% chance of winning. This most recent game, the Pacers had a 89.5% chance of winning at late in the game. I would look at my phone because I didn't watch all the games because I mean, you kind of know where it's going, right? So especially no Tyrese Halliburton, I'm not super interested.
Correct.
So you'd see fourth quarter, Pacers up 10. You're
Doesn't
like,
matter.
it does not matter.
Mm-mm.
Um, so Boston is going to the finals. We know that.
Official.
Um, considering the fact that no teams ever came back from being down 3 games. We're going to, for conversation's sake, say that the Mavericks are going to the finals. Kind of give me your. Are there any takeaways you have from this conference finals on both sides?
Celtics, I have questions about. Because although they pulled away and that was the most even sweep I've ever seen in my life from a team that
They could, giving the percentages, they could easily be down 3 games.
yeah, absolutely, absolutely.
Right.
Well, I think that third game they kind of took care of business throughout the entire game. But
Right.
to your point, it's like the Pacers are nowhere near as good as what's on that West right now. And they seem, and it's hard to say they had trouble when they swept somebody, but they seem to struggle with them a little bit. We'll put it
Right.
that.
The context is important here.
Correct. Yeah. No. If you just look at the games, it's like, oh, they swept them. What do you mean they struggled with them?
Right.
There were so many close games because they're getting lit up by guys nobody's ever heard of before in their life,
Right.
which happens, right? That's in the playoffs. In order to win, you have to have guys like that step up. But a little concerned. I picked the Celtics to win everything, so I'm sticking with it. But
You're stuck with that.
I don't feel as confident anymore. I'll put it like that.
So on the we'll talk, since we're talking East, we'll talk East. Um, man, as someone who is a huge Jason Tatum fan, I watched multiple games, not all of them.
Mm-hmm.
Jason Tatum, I haven't seen that moment from him.
Yeah,
That like killer instinct moment. He has great stat lines. He'll put up, 26, 10, and 8, near triple double. But it seems like Boston's offensive strategy is to switch off Jason Tatum, isolation, Jaylen Brown,
mm-hmm.
isolation, not a whole lot of ball movement. And Jaylen Brown has looked like the better one-on-one scorer.
Absolutely. No, I was about to say Jaylen Brown to me was the which he almost looked like the guy a good chunk of the time.
Especially late in these games, it's Jaylen Brown. It's not Jason Tatum.
Correct.
Jaylen Brown hits the big 3 that sends it into overtime. Jaylen Brown does the scoring last game to put him away, where Tatum stayed at 26 for most of the fourth quarter. It's interesting, and that is why, I mean, you want to talk about the Mavericks and the Timberwolves. I mean, it just I feel bad for Anthony Edwards. Could he play better? Sure, but he's had nobody show up for him
Except Naz Reid.
except Naz Reid, exactly.
Yeah,
But
Naz Reid has shown up and shown out, and everybody else has the lights were too bright. Clearly,
Cat shooting like 19% from threes, like 4 for 32 or some shit.
and Gobert, man, I don't want to.
We'll get to it. We'll get to it.
I'm already starting.
Yeah.
I'm feeling already.
So I'll say this. So give me for the finals of the Celtics and the Mavericks. You got Celtics in.
Give me Celtics in 7. I'm gonna go crazy.
Celtics in
Just
7.
because, man, Dallas has come alive at the perfect moment. They are a well put together team. They work well. Kyrie and Luka work so well off each other. They have games where Luka outshines everybody. They have games where Kyrie outshines everybody, and they have games like Game 3 where they just kind of battled, and they both did really well. And it's when they are both on, it's a problem, man.
Yeah,
It is,
and you said that before the series started.
Yeah,
You said if you get a playoff hungry Kyrie and Luka, steps up his efficiency, who's gonna stop him?
and that's exactly what happened.
And they're playing arguably the best defensive team in.
Yeah, and they're just cooking them.
Yeah, I mean the games are close, but yeah, like they're.
But it's them two specifically. Let me clarify.
Oh yeah,
It's
yeah. You're right. Yep.
That's saying I don't care who you put on me. I'm gonna beat them and do something about it.
Yeah, it's everything is, if it's not some ISO ball with Kyrie or ISO ball with Luca, Luca's getting the ball in great position in the paint to where it's a stand up dunk, like
Yeah.
or an alley oop or something. They don't. PJ Washington has had some good moments, but not like that the OKC series where
Yeah. Where
Washington
he,
was putting up 20, 28, and
yeah, it looked like a big three.
yeah, no, this has definitely died down there, but yeah, I feel bad for Ant because Cat was supposed to show up a lot better than this.
100%.
And Rudy Gobert was supposed to defend a lot better than this. Um,
Don't,
we will get to it. We will get to it. So my prediction, I've never been more sure in my life. I'm going all in with the Dallas Mavericks.
really.
I think this is the perfect storyline. Okay. Luca, because everybody loves Luca. Luca gets a ring. Kyrie going against Boston, who he hates.
Kyrie getting a ring after the past 4 or 5 years is hilarious. Just want to be clear. That is
Right.
hilarious.
And to the point of Jason Tatum has yet to show that killer instinct. Like he needs to show that in this game because if Dallas has shown anything, it's how to shut down a secondary score. Because
Yeah.
if you look at, and it's crazy saying this about Kyrie, but I mean, real hoopers understand what I'm saying. Luca's the number one guy, and
Mhm.
Kyrie's the second guy. That's how it is, right? Um, Cat is the second guy to Ant, and Dallas completely had a game plan to shut him down. Anthony Edwards needs to do everything. And
Yeah.
even right now, as we speak, Anthony Edwards is doing everything. They're up 3, and he's got 14 right now. The next highest person is Conley with 5. Like, Anthony Edwards has to do everything, and we're seeing it live
Help
as we're talking on the
him.
pod.
Help him.
That's what I'm saying. He has no help. And Cat was help in previous series. He's no help right now.
Yeah.
Um, Conley has been the second best player in this year. Nasreed, and Conley. It's been Ant, Nasreed, Conley, whichever order you want to put the last two in. Like that's been the best players in this series. So I definitely think if Jason Tatum's going to struggle with that killer instinct, Jaylen Brown's going to be shut down as a secondary scorer. You got Porzingis coming back, but how Dallas puts big men in interesting situations, they put him in pick and roll defense. So
Yeah.
they have to worry about the lob, and you're making Porzingis, who is like 7'13", and like he's huge, but he's not a defensive big man.
No, 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 no.
And you're gonna force him, and especially if Derek Lively, he got kicked in the head. Did you see him get kicked in the head? That was crazy.
Yeah. I mean, we got till next Thursday, so I think they'll be all right.
Right. So if he comes back, he's a great lob threat and a great defender. And then you got Gafford, who's a great lob threat and a great defender. Porzingis coming back, it's not going to be the best situation for him.
No.
Like he's a lot of his energy is going to be spent on the defensive end, and I think it's going to affect his offensive game. So I think it's the perfect scenario for the Mavs to win in 6 or 7.
Ooh,
Um,
that'd be
and
huge.
and here's the thing in the Dallas and me kind of defending Boston, if they have a Luka stopper, it's Drew Holiday.
Yeah, I can see that. I forget Drew Holiday's over there sometimes. I'm not gonna lie to you. But
Um,
that's what his job is. Honestly, if Drew can stop any one of those guys, that's how they win.
Absolutely. And I think it's all set up for Dallas to win. I got in my notes Mavs in 7. I wouldn't be surprised if it's Mavs in 6.
All right,
But
the Celtics instead. We're gonna battle.
this is going to be interesting. Someone's getting their first ring is going to be awesome as far as
That's and that's
Luka or
that's one
Jason
thing that
Tatum.
I'm excited about. It's gonna be one of the younger. We're really starting to see the new generation take over.
Right.
That's the part I love. The baton's been passed, and it's good basketball. It's not just boring. It's not Jokic winning every year. It's all right. Whose turn is it now? I'm honestly happy with whoever wins. I think it's good for the NBA. Either one of these teams win.
Yeah, absolutely. And Kyrie gets to add to his collection. And I mean, the internet oddly enough compares Luca and they oddly enough compared Luka to Jason Tatum on the internet for some reason. I've done it before in the past as well. So it'll be really good to see who has the better overall performance, Luka or Jason Tatum, because it's going to say a lot.
It seems like Luca has that dog in him, and Tatum's looking for it.
That's and Dallas has played, I think, the better teams. Dallas
100%.
has played the better teams thus far.
The
They
Celtics
beat
have had the easiest runs of playoffs that I remember in recent history.
a lot of injuries on. I mean,
And,
a lot
and
of
against weak teams, they've had a lot of injuries. They almost lost to the Pacers twice without Halliburton.
yeah. At three of the 4 games, they had at some point in the fourth quarter had a 90% chance of losing the game, 90% chance or more of losing the game. So they know how to win late games, and that's important, obviously. But
Correct. You're not playing the freaking Mavs.
but the Luka just seems the big game-winning shot over the defensive player of
Crazy.
the year. Um, so let's transition to talk about the defensive player of the year, Rudy Gobert. Talk to me.
Fucking Rudy goddamn Gobert, you COVID attracting giraffe looking motherfucker. Why is I need to talk about who gives these people the defensive player of the year?
It's
And
a
why
it's
is
a whole mess of people. It's a whole group of
I need
people.
somebody to explain to me like I'm a toddler. Why does he keep getting the defensive player of the year and he is a target for offenses? In one of the biggest games of the year, they said, I want him guarding me. He looks like a lost puppy out there with Luka on him. Luka said, I got a baby on me. Move.
And don't even talk about Jokic.
Oh my God, bro. Jokic looked at him like he was lunch meat.
Jokic said, "Everybody clear out.
Yeah, no.
Go get some Gatorade."
When they said Jokic was talking about Gobert and Gobert was trying to brag, he said, brother, I got 47.
I got 47.
What are we talking? I've never ever like I don't understand. Like as much as I get upset with Draymond Green, Draymond's not doing that. I don't care.
Draymond, the thing is, Draymond, if he starts getting beat, he's
Punch
just
you
gonna
in the
knock you
face.
out.
No, like I don't
He's
care if
gonna
it's
kick you in the
guard. I don't
nuts.
care if it's a big. Is he gonna guards the best? No, but I'm not trying to look for him when it's crunch time.
Right.
Absolutely not. Give me Steph. Give me somebody. The defenses are looking for him. Why is he a
Right.
3-time defensive player of the year? I need somebody to explain it to me. And if I take, I'm sorry, but if I take Gobert off this team and swap him with somebody else, I think Minnesota has more success because he offers absolutely nothing on offense. Nothing. You give him the ball, he drops it. He gets confused. What do I do? It's well, and you can't do anything on defense. Why are you on the floor? I think the
Right.
biggest mistake they made was not pulling Gobert sooner and just putting Nas Reed out there.
Right.
I
And
think
when they did put Nas Reed out there, they benched Cat, which Cat obviously needed to be benched too.
he was asked. He was asked. But if I got to pick one, at least one can give me some goddamn points.
Maybe.
It's just would yeah. He potentially he's at least a threat to pull defenses away.
Right.
If Gobert is on the floor, I want you to give him the ball. I pray to God you give him the ball. My entire game plan is give him the ball.
One could say that Gobert being on the floor in crunch time really hurts Anthony Edwards' ability to get to the rim because he's clogging up the paint.
Exactly. You get him out the way, I think he has way more success.
Because you're going to have Cat and Nas Reed at the 3-point line, and then the paint's open.
And I have so many like mixed feelings about this. So be clear, just if we're being honest with ourselves, Gobert is signed next year and has a player option the year following. So you are stuck with this motherfucker.
Because he's going to take his player option.
You ain't got no other option, goddamn it. Take the player option. Because I think other teams are seeing this and being like, why the fuck would I want this guy on my team?
God forbid we have to play Denver.
Oh my God. Like Jokic, it gets excited seeing him. If it wasn't for Anthony Edwards losing his goddamn mind and Nas Reed and Cat playing stellar defense, they lose strictly because of Gobert.
No, 100%.
This man $45 million a year. That's crazy.
And this is something that I've expressed this to you. The awards need to be a post playoff pre-final award. Like
so
before the finals, after
the
the conference finals, that's when the awards, because it is silly right now. and I'll die on this hill. It is silly right now that Luka's not the MVP and Rudy Gobert is the defensive player of the year. It feels silly right now.
It makes the league look like a joke.
Like, because Jokic wins MVP, right? He deserved it, had an amazing season. Who's the best player when it matters most right now? It's Luka Doncic.
And that
And you
matters.
know me, who hates Luka? I do, and I'm the one saying this shit. That means something. Luka's the best player in the league right now, and he's performing in the best moments, and he's not MVP, and Rudy Gobert is Defensive Player of the Year. It seems silly.
I really want somebody to explain to me like I'm stupid because I
Right.
don't understand why, how. All right, so I just want to clarify,
Okay.
right?
Talk about it.
So he's what, a 3-time or 4-time defensive player of the year, right?
I think he's got three. I think he's got four.
He's got 4,
Rudy.
yeah. So
Yeah.
I want to give you a list of people. It's not very many, right?
Mm-hmm.
You have the Mutombos of the world, you have the Ben Wallaces of the world, and Grant, let me be clear. They didn't deal with the type of offenses that are out there now. So let me not take that away from them.
Right.
They might be in the same exact situation. But if we look at some of the past defensive player of the years outside of that, you got Jaren Jackson Jr. You're not trying to do that to him.
No.
Marcus Smart, yeah, maybe a big can beat him, but you are not targeting Marcus Smart a day in your life. Outside of that, we have Giannis. No.
not a chance.
And then you got Draymond Green.
No.
Hell. And then Kawhi Leonard.
No.
Hell no. The next person after that was in 2013, Joakim Noah.
Even him. No one's going after Noah.
That's what I'm saying. How are you a 4-time defensive player of the year? If I'm comparing you to everybody else, and I'm not saying they have to be the best at guarding in the perimeter, but you are no way, shape, or form trying to call out this person and say, I'm going to beat you. Because not only did he get beat on the perimeter, put him against Jokic, he got beat in the goddamn paint. Where the fuck did he succeed?
He was getting ISO'd. No defensive player of the year in history is getting ISO'd.
And I've heard people say, oh, well, Jokic is the best player in the world. He can do this to anybody. He didn't do that to anybody else except him.
That's the thing.
He didn't do that to Cat. He moved the ball.
Like if you watch the game, like actually watch the game.
I don't understand, man. I just don't get it. And I don't know. I don't ever want to see him win a defensive player of the year award ever again in the history of life.
It's super sad. And it's what we do with these years apart of certain players in certain eras and comparing, but how would Jokic fare against a prime Dwight Howard? How would Jokic fare against a Joakim Noah? Like that's something we'll never know. But I've been watching basketball since I could walk, and I've never seen a defensive player of the year get literally game planned around to where we can get ISOs with you in the paint, in the perimeter. I don't get it.
Defensive player of the year you're trying to avoid normally.
Yeah, like you're calling plays and you're running an offense that gets him away from the ball.
Correct. And instead, you're centering on Gobert and saying, whatever we got to do, get this guy on whatever player is playing. And that's insane. I don't understand it.
He's averaging a guy that in the regular season averaged 2 blocks a game, 2.1. This playoffs, the last 3 years in the playoffs, he's averaged 1 block a game.
So he can't handle the lights. We have that very clear. And
then people will comment and they'll say, oh, well, it's because they're game planning around them. We know that's not the case this year. Know that's not the case this year.
I mean, they are game planning around him. That's true. But the game plan is, hey, just get in front of him.
And the reason why Minnesota cruised and he got out of the first round and they swept Phoenix. Phoenix has Nurkic at center, and they're not running any plays for Nurkic. You got perimeter and mid-range shooting with Devin Booker and Kevin Durant. Not a lot of people are going to the rim on that team. But when people are going to the rim, like Denver, how they go to the rim and they post up with – you just can't be a defensive player of the year center and get barbecue chicken in the post. There's no way.
You can lose against Jokic. I understand that. There's nothing wrong with that. But when he is looking at you and saying,
Seeking you out.
everybody move, I got this. And it works every time. Like this has a very, very, very high success rate. I he doesn't deserve the award. He doesn't. I can make the argument he might have deserved any of these. I don't understand what the fuck we're doing, why we're doing it. Uh, why is Drew Holiday not being considered for Defensive Player of the Year? Like that's
Because perimeter guards are defensive guards are just disrespected. I know that Marcus Smart won, and I know that Drew Holiday is who Drew Holiday is, but literally we look for blocks and we look for crazy block numbers and we look for steals, and we don't really factor in because there's not really like no one's looking at defensive rating. Like no one's looking at these like legit defensive stats. Like everyone wants to know like who's swatting balls, who's stealing. We all know players that will, lead the league in steals or will be high in the league in steals, but they play passing lanes. They don't really necessarily play
yeah.
great perimeter defense. And I think Drew Holiday at this point deserves it a lot more than Rudy Gobert, which is my point. I think we need to account the playoffs before the finals start. I think we need to account everything we've seen thus far. Because I love Jokic. I think Jokic had an MVP-like season. But Luka Doncic needs to be the MVP this year. And we're seeing that. And he's not. And Rudy Gobert doesn't need to be Defensive Player of the Year. And we're seeing that. And the thing is, it's such a regular season award. If we don't care about anything else in the regular season, why do we care about these awards? Because what
That's
do
all.
we say? James Harden and Russell Westbrook, they'll score 1 billion points in their prime in the regular season. What was everyone saying against them? Oh, we'll do it in the playoffs. We can have an opportunity where we can actually do our voting after the conference finals, so we can accumulate the things that everyone's using as arguments against those things. And it won't happen. It just, who cares about an MVP at this point? Who cares about a Defensive Player of the Year at this point? Like I want to know who's doing it when it matters the most. Luka, Drew Holiday, as far as MVP and Defensive Player of the Year, they're doing it right now. And Jokic is on a horse ranch right now, and Rudy Gobert is getting cooked.
Like he's probably getting cooked right now. I'm not even watching the game.
I'm not even watching the game.
That money, he is on the stove right now. And I don't understand. Like if I'm looking at it, right, we had Marcus Smart win 2001, 2022. Before then, the last time a guard won Defensive Player of the Year is 95, 96, Gary Payton.
Good
How
Lord.
is that possible?
That doesn't make sense.
Point guard heavy,
disrespected.
Guard heavy league. It makes no sense.
Chris Paul should have won many a years.
100%.
Well, then there was Dwight. So maybe, I don't know. Dwight was legit.
And I get it, but in such a guard heavy league, there's no way you can tell me that there's not any guards, because you have to have good guards, because that's all we do nowadays is guards. I don't get it.
Yeah, no,
I could complain all day about this.
Yeah, you came with the energy on that one, and I love it. Cool. Top 5 NBA duos. We'll do an NBA top 5. Top 5 NBA duos. Now, what this is what our opinion. I want to hear everyone else's opinion. The top 5.
Gobert, by the way.
Sorry. Just by the way, Rudy Gobert won't be making Jordan's list. All right, so I got my 5. I'm interested to hear yours, but the way I kind of did mine is I have my reasonings for mine. Okay, so I might have some too low, might have some too high, but I have my reasons.
That's same thing for me.
Yeah, it all depends. Okay, so give me your top 5 NBA duos. Who's that 5?
Top 5, I got Ant and Cat.
Oh shit. Okay.
He said that's just the opposite of mine. Ant and Cat, and a lot of these duos, there's one person carrying the load.
Right.
Obviously, we're seeing that now. It's in Ant Cat. I think there's some recency bias in there because we're watching this series where Cat's absolutely useless.
I definitely factored that in with my decision.
So it's but at the end of the day, I think that you have to include the fact that they made it to Western Conference Finals. It has to be included in
sure.
What we're talking about. We have Ant that's been incredible. He looks like a top 5 guy in the league throughout this entire playoffs. And then you had Cat at some point that looks like he could be the second best on a championship team. There's a good chunk of that where I felt really good about that. So because of that, I put him at 5.
5, I got Devin Booker and Kevin Durant.
Okay.
Um, the reason why they're at 5, obviously, the talent with these two could be one because the talent. They have not won anything significant together. Some health issues have been the reason for that. Them getting swept by the Timberwolves, which is no, I mean, Timberwolves are nice,
That's why I
but
took to be honest with you.
yeah, so them at 5. Um, yeah, like like what we're talking about. That's why I was like, I ain't putting Cat anywhere near this fucking list. I love Anthony Edwards. He ain't touching this list. All right. At number 4, I got Giannis and Damian Lillard.
Ooh, I too have Giannis and Dame at 4.
Yeah, you're right. So the reason why it's at 4, they haven't played together enough to really give a good, they were both hurt in the playoffs. And this was their first year together. But if we just think about the talent of Giannis, he has a championship. When he's on and healthy, he's top 2, top 3 player in the league.
Easy.
And Damian Lillard, second best 3-point shooter behind Steph Curry. And he's makes huge shots in big moments. That combination is great. Just haven't seen a whole lot
Yeah,
with it.
we haven't been healthy enough.
Give me your
Um,
3.
so at 3, I got Jokic and Murray. Um,
Okay.
the reason why I put him at 3, Jokic is the best player in the league. Let me be clear. That's
Yep.
that's my opinion. I think he's the best player in the league. However, outside of Cat, Murray's probably the worst player on this list.
Yep.
Um, so I have to bring him back a couple steps back just because of it. But I feel like Jokic definitely puts him in that conversation. But Murray, when he's on, is fantastic. But we've seen this playoffs that when he's off, my God, is he a liability on the floor?
Yeah. I considered just because Jokic is great and the best, I considered that as well. But I tried to have more balance in my list, right? So at my 3, right, I have Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown.
Ooh,
I mean, they're going to the finals, and Jason Tatum is a top 5, top 7 player, however you think it. And Jaylen Brown has shown that he can score with them, if not better than Tatum. And I think they complement each other very well. So I got Tatum and Brown at 3. Not a sexy pick, but an efficient pick. Who you got?
gotcha. So let's see. At 2,
Yeah.
I have
Oh, do
Luca.
I go back to back? My bad.
Yeah, yeah,
I'm supposed
make
to go
the
back to back. I forgot. I got Tatum and Brown at 3, and then at number 2, I got Joel Embiid and Tyrese Maxey.
Okay.
Joel Embiid and Maxey. I with this pick, when it comes to Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown, I could swap them. Right, I had a hard
Yeah.
time. I think when it comes to Joel Embiid, I think I might take Embiid over Tatum on a certain day. I definitely take Embiid over Brown. And Maxey's future, I think, is so bright that it's hard for me to discredit that. Um, Not a whole lot of playoff success there, but I think just the dominance of Embiid and Maxey putting up 40 and 50 burgers. I definitely think that future's bright with him. I love that duo, and I think they're only going to get better because those guys are not old guys. Like
Yeah.
they're still improving.
Yeah.
Who you got
I
it
left
to?
him off my list because Maxi did do too hot in the
You
playoffs.
kind of you kind of hate on Maxey a little bit. I've
I don't.
realized this, like a little bit.
He didn't do. Did he do well in the playoffs?
No, that's not what I'm here to talk about.
That's all I mentioned. That's all I mentioned.
You have Cat on your list.
But he did well in the playoffs up until this point. Did he not?
Maxey was in the playoffs for a short amount of time.
There's a reason for that.
I don't. Oh, come on! It's
Come on,
not
no,
Maxey's
no,
fault.
no. We got to talk about it, right? Like, and don't get me wrong. Embiid's health was a concern. He came back in time where there was time to turn around that series, and Maxi could not carry the load. Cat had to guard the best
Maxey's
player
also
on
like
earth.
17.
Let me be clear. Cat had to guard the best player on earth and succeeded in the last series. You have to give him credit for that.
So
You have to.
I
You
don't
kidding?
know what game you're watching. Maxey averaged 30 in this playoffs. He
Keep
averaged
going.
30 on 40% from 3, 50% from the field.
Did you watch the games?
Oh, Okay, I'm sorry.
He was
At
he was not horrible. I understand that he was not horrible.
30?
He
An
was not
efficient
horrible.
30?
I watched the games, my friend. That's all I asked.
I feel like that's a cop out, but we could keep going.
We just brought that same conversation up earlier.
What do you mean?
We said, hey, but you have to watch the games. It tells a different story.
No, like I'm saying what I was talking about earlier was like this stuff you can't see on a stat sheet. Like you have to watch. Like
Yes, I understand that, but
this is like you
yes,
see
he
that.
scored. He scored. I get it. However, if you watch the game, there was times where he was not very helpful in the court to Embiid. It was Embiid carrying a very large load while he was limping around. But anyway,
Why was he
uh,
limping?
he was hurt. Embiid was hurt.
Oh, I thought you were talking about Maxi. I was like,
No, no,
what?
no,
What
no,
was limps? Why
no,
was
no,
he
no.
why was he
I
limping?
said Embiid had to carry a large load while he
Oh,
was hurt.
yeah.
Pause. Yeah, that was crazy. So at 2, I have Luca and Kyrie. Obvious reasons. Uh,
Oh, I wonder who your one is. Wow.
so they've been fantastic. That's
Jalen Green and Sengun.
shit. But Luca and Kyrie, they've just been fantastic. You can't ask for a better guard duo. They're starting to come up in one of the best front courts of all time. I don't know about that. That's a different conversation. Maybe we'll have that conversation next pod. But they've just been great. I can't ask for more, right? They complement each other very well. When one's down, the other one's up, and when they're together, they're look unbeatable. And then at 1, I got Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown.
Okay.
For one
All right.
very important reason, they're the only duo on this list that play both sides of the court very well.
Mm-hmm.
So I have to factor that into this, right? Because you got Ant and Cat. Ant's great on both sides. Cat is not, right? He's had
Right.
some moments, but he's not. Giannis and Dame. Giannis is great on both sides. Dame is not.
Yep.
Jokic and Murray, they both suck on defense. Luke and Kyrie, they both suck on defense. Tatum and Brown, they're both going to give you great effort on both sides, and that's the reason why I
Yep.
put them.
That's a good point. I appreciate you highlighting defense.
That's what it is, man. It's at the end of the day, if you can't score on them, that makes a big difference. We've seen that, so that's the reason why I put them at 1. What you got?
Number 1, I got Luca and Kyrie.
Okay.
I think I had. It's hard not to put recency bias into it, but I'm also accounting recency bias. I'm also accounting it because
Yeah.
I mean it's realistic, right? And Luca and Kyrie right now, I don't know what's in their water, but they are just firing on all cylinders. And Luca looks damn near unstoppable.
You know,
And
Kyrie shooting that water.
and Kyrie, it just seems like whenever you need a big bucket from either of them, they're gonna give it to you.
They got you. Just
Um,
pick.
yeah, and right now, as far as just when we talk about watching the games, like literally they trade off clutch moments.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
haven't seen anything like that except maybe LeBron and Kyrie back in Cleveland.
The irony in that.
Yeah, right. We all know Kyrie is one of the best closers, if not the best closer in the game, and Luca is a top 2 player. I definitely, and again, I've had a lot of criticism on Luca. There hasn't been many players that have completely changed my mind than Luca has this playoffs. Watching the games, this dude he plays at a speed that's just crafted for his own. Like
Yeah,
he's not super fast. He seems slow, but yet people can't
they can't keep up.
they can't stay in front of him. And we don't need to talk about Luca's passing and where he puts the ball because it's elite.
Mhm.
But his shooting is what's thrown me for a loop. And he's also built for these clutch moments. I guess you can thank EuroLeague basketball being so competitive, but
Absolutely. I think that's a huge factor in this.
he's he's built different, and Kyrie's been built different for these moments. When you have 2 closers on one team, holy shit.
It's tough.
Um, I think right now, and obviously this list is dynamic. So like this list could change middle of the season next year. We don't know, but yeah, that's our top 5. I really like you putting Tatum and Brown at 1, and then really putting it on defense because those two, they're kind of built the same way. They were
Yeah.
both the exact same prospect coming out of college. You had
Mhm.
Jaylen Brown coming out of Cal. and then Tatum coming out of Duke, during the draft evaluation process, experts were like, these guys are just Celtics. They're just Celtics. They are fundamentally strong players. They don't do anything great, but they do everything good.
Mhm.
And I respect that. That 3-pointer in the Pacers game from Jaylen Brown in the corner,
Dang.
good Lord.
That was such a tough shot.
That's the
Such a
hardest,
tough.
probably the hardest shot.
Yes. And he knocked it down clean like it was nothing. And it could have been a foul.
That's I really love our list. I love to see people's input on that one. Um, so going to duos, keeping it on duos, a duo that didn't make either of our lists, Kawhi Leonard and Paul George. So the issue with contract negotiations with Paul George is the Clippers will not pay Paul George more than Kawhi. I had a question.
What's up?
Why does Paul George think he should make more than Kawhi?
I got an answer.
Why?
How much did Kawhi play in the playoffs?
Is that your only grading system?
Yes.
Okay. Can I give you numbers of what Paul George did when he played in the playoffs?
Yes.
He was outscored by James Harden throughout the series. Does James Harden need to make more than Kawhi Leonard?
Yes.
Okay. That's a good way to stump my argument.
Because how many points did Kawhi Leonard score during these games?
That's a good point. But no, like literally, and I'm trying to rack my brain about it, right? Literally, the only thing that Paul George has over Kawhi is just he was available for what, 4 more games?
No, I
Those
agree.
are those are super important games. Don't get me wrong.
I agree. And Paul George is not the healthiest, but he's healthier than Kawhi by a long shot because Kawhi is just the
During,
most.
I mean, the regular season doesn't mean shit, but I think Kawhi played 68 games and Paul George played 74, something like that.
Yeah, but I think Kawhi has been hurt in the playoffs frequently. That's one thing I will say. That's kind of a common theme for him.
So
I can make the argument that he would have much. Well, obviously, this is an argument, but I just think that he would have been on the team that could possibly get a ring a lot more frequently if he just stayed healthy. Because I guess my point is he's been the deciding factor in a lot of these situations, and he gets hurt, which you can't control that, right? It happens, but it happens a little too frequently for him. So I'm not saying
100%.
I'm not saying I necessarily agree, but I would get it from Paul George's perspective.
Yeah, again, I think availability is really your only conversation because Kawhi Leonard's extension is superstar money, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I know we're both from Houston, so we can't have this conversation realistically. Ask any other hoop fan anywhere else. Nobody is putting James Harden above Paul George right now. Nobody is. And it's crazy.
I know.
But we just love James Harden because we're from Houston. But James Harden, Paul George took a backseat to James Harden in the
Yeah.
playoffs. Paul George scored 19 a game. James Harden scored 21 a game. James Harden shot better from the field. James Harden shot better from three. James Harden had more assists, which obviously James Harden's a point guard, so assists,
The
sure.
fact that you had to do all that is the kind of crazier part.
Right. And it's like, if you have, like, if I'm the GM in these negotiations, Paul George, you want more than Kawhi Leonard, I'm talking to James Harden about giving Kawhi Leonard money. I'm not talking to you. Because, like, you average 19 a game, superstar, and you want superstar money? That's not how this works.
No, I get you. I understand that logic. It's just I think the Clippers are in a really tough situation right now. Because what the fuck do you do? It's tough right now.
And we talked about it, I think, on the first podcast, where we're saying, are they just going to bring back Paul George? They already re-signed Kawhi. Are they going to bring back Harden? And then are they just going to have those three and then recycle role players until you win something? Is that, I mean,
as they slowly get older, like
yeah, like they're just going to get worse because Father Time. There's no LeBrons out there, you
no,
know?
they're not getting healthier because they're getting older. So if I'm the Clippers, and I know this is not an easy decision to make, I'm trying to rebuild right now.
But you already committed to Kawhi.
I know,
So,
and that's part of the problem. But in my head right now, I'm trying to rebuild because we've seen it before, right? And as we see these franchises, especially now in today's world, in today's NBA world, the teams that are thriving are the ones who have came up to the draft. This whole
Yes,
big
yeah.
three thing does not work anymore. This logic doesn't work because teams are getting so strong through the draft and building teams perfectly. OKC, Minnesota, like this is, and obviously none of them are going. Well, the Celtics, shit, they most part built up to the draft.
Their core is from the draft. Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown, draft. Their bench players, draft.
At this point, I would be in rebuild mode. What? How can I get a top 5 pick? Hopefully for the next few years, and then build upon that. That's what I would be focused on because you have the players to get that back.
I agree.
But as they get older, that potential goes lower, and we see the teams make the mistake where they hold on, hold on. Now you don't have any value to even get anything back, and you're stuck in the fucking Brooklyn Nets situation.
Right.
Where
And that's literally to your point. Whenever the before the Kawhi situation, before the extension got announced or whatever, I was like, okay, cool. So, they can just all part ways and it'll be okay.
tear this bitch down, get some draft picks,
But
get some
then
young guys.
it seemed like the Kawhi extension kind of was like, okay, like I understand.
As a clip
Um,
of how much you regretting letting SGA go.
don't even, I would just that keeps me up at
Tough,
night.
tough. You let him go
Um,
for it's a mistake.
and Colin Coward had a good point where I saw a clip of him where he said, and this is in your favor when you talked about Kawhi in past pods where you're like, when he's healthy, he's worth taking the chance on keeping him on the team and paying him because if he's healthy, he's elite. Um, that's the same thing could be said about Kyrie Irving.
Yeah,
He seemed to be a issue in the locker room. He doesn't play. He has problems with teammates. He beefs with people. He seems like a bad locker room guy. Jimmy Butler, same thing. Seems like he's a bad locker room guy. But you sign these guys, you take the chance because Dallas is going to the finals last year. Jimmy went to the finals, a couple years ago or last year. Fuck.
yeah.
Um,
That was one.
and then Kawhi's, won 2 rings already. Like
Why you
this is
have to. This comes with taking risks. That's how you get players like that. Like I said, they're not homegrown. You have to take risks.
yeah,
So I'll be honest with you, it just worked out perfectly for Dallas.
yeah. And I just want to point out that Paul George has a player option. He's not an unrestricted free agent. He has a player option, 48.7 million. He made 45.6 last year. So he'll make 3 more million if he accepts his player option. But
What's that extension though? Do you think
we'll
he comes off to be a free agent if he doesn't get the extension?
I don't know because like
Got to be in the cards.
maybe maybe like I'm not a basketball player, so like I don't understand. Like I don't even know what's the big intrigue to stay in with the Clippers, except for the fact that it's in LA and everyone loves LA. But like I don't just seeing.
I'm sorry, just state taxes alone, that doesn't seem
Are
financially correct. Am I tripping? Like,
you saying Paul George is going to come to Houston?
I mean, look, I'll put it like this. If I get 45 million from Houston and I can get 50 million from LA, that 45 million is so much more valuable in Houston. It is. And I don't understand based on that logic, I don't understand why cities with no state tax in their state are not the best teams in the world.
That
But I guess they're
I
making so
get
much
it.
money, like I don't give a fuck. But like we're talking about millions of difference.
Yeah, it's like fuck you money, and it's I get to just chill. Like I can make all this money, but I get like the nightlife and I get the LA weather and stuff like that. Because Texas weather kind of sucks, let's be honest.
It does. It does.
Um, yeah, I mean, I don't think Paul George should make I get the argument that Paul George, he's available, but I understand that you're available, but you took a backseat to a guy that nobody wanted in James Harden,
Mm-hmm.
and that's crazy. Um, but yeah, speaking of Houston or speaking of Texas and the Rockets and all that, you really put something in my brain as we've been talking. I don't know who has a better superstar trade package than the Rockets
Nobody.
in the NBA.
Nobody.
Because the Rockets are the only team that don't want their draft pick.
Correct.
Like
Fact, not the,
Washington wants theirs. Everyone wants theirs.
not the strongest draft pick in the world or draft class in the world.
Right.
But
But no one even really knows that.
even that's yeah, because I'll say even some of the worst drafts in the world, they had some studs in there.
They've been nice, yeah.
Yeah, so it's I don't know. I'm curious what the Rockets are going to do because you
I
there's
know
so
I
much.
know this will hurt you, and I'm not trying to hurt you. What's a better trade package than a number 3 pick and Jalen Green for any superstar in the league?
Well, first and foremost, that'd be the great trade package because Jalen Green's the best player on earth. So I understand what you're saying, but let's be realistic here.
I just like who like if you're talking about a Donovan Mitchell, you're talking about
I'm
a Paul George,
I'm
and you're
sorry. If I'm giving you the number 3 draft pick, I'm giving you another Brooklyn pick in the future, which they've committed to sucking. So
they're like, you know what? This is
those
it.
pick values have skyrocketed. And I'll give you freaking Jay Sean or I'll give you Tate.
Jay
That's a
Sean
damn
Tate.
good package. That's a damn good package. I'm sorry. I know we don't want to admit that, but that's two. So I got one draft pick that's no question. That's a high draft pick, number 3 draft pick.
Yeah.
I got you another pick that you know is going to be a lottery pick to a team that
It could be the number 1 pick.
correct. And I'll give you somebody. I'm not saying actual tape, but you know what I mean. Like,
And for the
I think Jalen Green's too much because in the way I'm looking at it is I'm giving you 3 top 5 picks for.
yeah. And
I
for
think that's too much.
the viewers that don't understand what we're talking about, the Rockets in the James Harden trade, we have a bunch. Houston has a bunch of pick swaps with Brooklyn, and they also have Brooklyn's actual unprotected first round picks. I think we have their 2026, and
Flop in 28. I
yeah,
think
yeah,
40.
we have. I know we
Something.
have multiple of their unprotected picks, and we have multiple swaps. And Brooklyn's owner got on stage in somewhere and basically said Brooklyn's going to work on building the future. So they're committing to rebuilding already right now. So those picks that the Rockets have from Brooklyn are like guaranteed lottery. They could be depending on how bad their rebuild is or how much they break this apart, it could be a number 1 pick. So if you're like, I'll give you the number 3 pick and I'll give you 2 first rounds in the future that could be number 1 picks.
I'm not giving you Jalen Green that scenario. That's that. I guess that's my point. I'm just
Yeah,
not.
yeah, yeah. No,
That seems insane to me.
you're talking about like the Rockets at any given moment can offer 3 top 5 picks.
Yes.
And
And I shouldn't have to give you anything. I'll give you Dylan Brooks.
there you go. Just
Just for
because,
salary reasons. And
yeah,
let's keep
I
pushing.
get throw in Fred VanVleet.
That's all I got.
That's
Expiring.
that's it. And what team can really beat that? I don't think anyone can because the teams that can beat that, they want their picks and they want their because I mean OKC has kind of done things the right way and drafting and building that way.
Yeah,
People
a
want
lot
to
of that.
do that. Rockets are like,
I don't think they have the money to do that if I'm not mistaken.
but the Rockets, I mean, there's not like they're a shit team. They went 42 and 42. So they went 500. So and they got the coach. They have so much young talent. Like
41 and
even
41. They
huh?
went 40, 41
Oh,
and
did I say
40.
42 and 42? I added
Yeah,
2
you
extra
started
games.
talking. I was like, wait, what?
41 and 41. I just know they went 500. I added extra games because I'm dyslexic. But if they, I mean, they have so much young talent. Even if they were to draft someone at 3, who like
How do you
where
get on
would
the floor?
they would just be off the bench? You know?
Yeah, you don't get to play. So they have to trade the pick. So that's a whole different thing. I don't want to get too deep into Rockets,
Right.
but I can go on a tangent.
Yeah.
But no, it's just we'll
It's just
see.
as we're talking
Look,
about Paul George and people like that. If I think Rockets have the best trade, you know, trade pieces that anyone else has in the league. The Lakers are going to be like, yo, I got Rui Hachimura and the 2097 first round pick
and Austin Reeves,
and
what you got?
Austin Reeves, and they don't even want to get rid of him.
Yeah,
But
and somehow they'll say yes because the Lakers.
right, yeah, the Lakers will pull it off somehow. As I said, watch Lakers get fucking Donovan Mitchell this year, and we're all going to be like, how did that happen?
And they're gonna get Donovan Mitchell and Bronny James and take over the league. That's the
And before we sign off, I definitely want to say an RIP to Bill Walton, former MVP, 2 championships, a finals MVP, 6th man of the year, 2 All-Star appearances, 2 All-NBA nods, 2 All-Defensive team honors. Just one of the good ones that were and a voice of college basketball. Passed
Huge.
away due to cancer, which is unfortunate. But shout out Bill Walton,
Shout
RIP.
out Bill Walton, man. RP. It's rough, man.
But yeah, that's all I got. Man, we talk some shit on this pod. People are gonna hate us.
Fuck Rudy Gobert.
That's how I'm gonna do it. Do you have any words of wisdom before we close it out? Anything you want to tell people besides fuck Rudy Gobert?
Stop giving Rudy Gobert Defensive Player of the Year awards. God damn it.
Just like how Reggie Bush got his Heisman back, go in there and take Rudy
Give it to
Gobert.
Wimby now. Move that shit over there.
Yeah, like Wimby definitely. I don't want to like add more content.
What the fuck are we doing?
Wimby, I said Wimby should have won Rookie of the Year and Defensive Player of the Year because at least Wimby didn't get embarrassed in the playoffs. I get he didn't make it there, but nothing could like the last thing we remember about Wimby is him blocking the shit out of people. The last thing we remember about Rudy Gobert is him getting cooked.
I mean, Alperen Şengün did cook Wimby, but that's irrelevant. Back to what I'm saying.
Let's
Wimby
not make
should
it
have
about
that goddamn
Rockets.
award. Wimby should have that goddamn award. I don't understand. That's all I got.
Wimby averaged like 4 blocks a game. What are we talking about?
I don't want to talk about Rudy Gobert ever again in my life.
Like this is it. Hold on, before we go, let me get a score check. We got it's tied at halftime, 49-49.
Going into the third. Let's get it.
All right. Well, no words of wisdom from Jordan. No words of wisdom from me. This was a great pod. I got plenty of content to put out.
Rudy Gobert.
Keep blowing our shit up. And we'll see y'all next week. This is the Bench Player Podcast. We out of here.
Deserved.